They're loaded. I'm going to weasel my way over to the green screen in a second, and we'll get the afternoon rundown. Make sure to vote next time if you didn't vote. But for me and Joe, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Take it over, Big Kahunas.
Make sure I'm not muted for a second there. Welcome, everybody. It's the afternoon now, although, I mean, it was already the afternoon, but it's 2 o'clock, so we're back. And kids, stay off the drugs. No, seriously, that stock is completely insane. I will not be trading it. I think, reasonably speaking, there were probably a couple of shots where you might have been able to do a really solid risk to reward opportunity. That would have been in the morning off VWAP and this long barcode off $11. That actually made sense. So up 100, sorry, check that, 100. Up 1,000% and still going. This morning, it was really more all about what ended up happening there in ASML. Numbers out, market didn't like it. There was a flush. There was one little bounce play. Obviously, this trades primarily, ASML trades primarily in Amsterdam, so it's not going to do much of anything in the afternoon. Once Europe closed at 11:30, which was like kind of right in here, like there was one move up, made a fresh low. Now you're just going to be barcoding. But that doesn't mean the chips aren't going to continue moving. As when ASML went to the downside, pretty much everything followed. There's a little bit of sideways action now, but you were already trending down in a lot of the chip names, and then that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Since then, you're kind of just hovering. Like look at Nvidia here, AMD as well, but Nvidia here off 131 to 131.5, sideways since 12:30. Gonna have to make some kind of a move out of this, I think, for some actual trading, specifically in Nvidia. If you're in it, you're in it, but I need to see this break away. ASML now being closed, I think these can all start to trade on their own, and then we can get a little bit more price action to give us a definite direction. The market is definitely coming down, however, but it's been holding the bottoms the entirety since the open. Like you've been trend down, but you've held the same low right since that 10:30 mark. That opening hour, you still haven't made a fresh bottom, specifically on the NASDAQ. The ES, different story. ES has actually made fresh lows.
That's pretty funny because we were just going about the NASDAQ, and we just got a nice little bottom wick there at 25. We're waiting for a little bit more at 20. Now you're starting to tick back upside. Yeah, what a wild afternoon where I'm expecting, actually. We had a crazy little dip down there once ASML came out, and it really drove. And Nvidia is going to be my worst stock today because we tried to chase the long, and then we got it back once we got it back in. But we were, losing on the way down before eventually catching that bid back to the upside and getting out nicely before VWAP. As we're trying to get back to the upside again. So yeah, what a tipsy-turvy day in the market. We're still long Tesla. That's been a big stock for us. We did get stopped out a little bit once it broke through 219, but bought it right back, and then some outs up here, 220.50s, 220.50 again. So yeah, it's been pretty good, but just not like no real monsters. What we will, I mean, my number one stock is Apple, but I don't want to go over all the stocks before we get ready to go. So
yeah, we'll let Sharif get on into position.
We'll get all that, and then we'll start talking here before we get a little too carried away. But yeah, so far so good. Google long, FXI. We still have. No one's probably asking about this name, but this is for me just going to be a little proud moment because we were shorting FXI, right off the open, and these are literally from the open. Now we have a piece left as it comes back down into 31.20. So this has like been a real dream position. Just kept on going to the downside, and now at lows still FXI. So yeah, we'll get to all that. Yeah, it's okay, no rush.
No rush.
Just a couple more minutes to go here. 2:05, and then we're gonna get the rundown where we'll go over everything, and then Neil and I will resume putting on some trades. Market's coming back up to that top side again here.
Yeah, there was just a bit of a. We'll let Sharif get into final position. I just wanted to quickly mention, shocker, VWAP short on the stock underneath VWAP. Well, Mara just bounced off 17 even. I shorted right in here, 17, 15. Well, okay, got 15 halves, got a bad midpoint. But if it breaks out of VWAP, I'm jumping out of this trade. Intel's different because Intel's a $23 level, but Mara just bounced off of 17. And remember, Bitcoin's been strong today. Mara might be under VWAP, but IBIT here, and again, I'm just using IBIT because it's the easiest thing for me. I could pull up Bitcoin, it's easy. You're breaking high of the day. So I like the relative weakness in the minor, but if you make a fresh high and we break VWAP, I'm going to jump out of Mara. As long as we hold this top, I like anything crypto related that is at a resistance level, but
shorted more.
Nothing that's at the actual high of the day. I believe Sharif is ready, so let's go over to the green screen.
Almost. He's ready in spirit, but now he's ready in voice.
Boom. You're good now.
They're discussing whether or not he is still muted, so we'll figure that out after a while.
Bro.
Fabian should be able to tell, man.
Okay.
All right, what's up?
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Shauna locked and loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But first, let's have a look at the futures. Big down day today for the triple Qs, down 1 1/5 right now. Bit of a tougher look, really led by the microchip sector and the weakness coming out of ASML and Nvidia and the others. But it has been a bit of a different story on some of the other exchanges. The Dow and the ES only down about 0.5%, but that rotation trade continues to manifest. The Russell 2000 up, last time I checked, over 0.4%. So good look for the small caps today. Yep, the number one ticker as decided by you guys, AAPL, coming into those all-time highs today, retracing off those highs though as a result of better than expected iPhone sales, specifically record iPhone sales, as they are now, I guess, the number 2 behind Samsung in global market share, guys.
All right, we really liked Apple today. I mean, Apple was pretty easy for me today because of the catalyst, right? I mean, here it is here on our sticky note. We had this marked down as a big level there, 233. So we'll talk about what happened off the open there when it dripped down a little bit, but we want to dig into the longs, and we really liked it. The iPhone reports, I mean, it's exactly what we've been waiting for. We talked about waiting for these iPhone reports to come through, and when they did, it was pretty hot fire. So, all right, we can zoom in a little bit. I mean, I have so many outs, but it's going to be very hard to see. This is actually pretty ridiculous. Anyways, buying here. Let me just, let's get rid of all of these, actually. Hold on a second. Fills. All right, only part fills will be there now. So we didn't get any part fills? Okay, good. So here comes Apple, right? I mean, Apple makes a move down in, right into the 200 period moving average. We wrote down, remember, on that sticky note, ooh, boy, here come the TQQs for your boy right now to the downside as well. Futures making nice moves. 20 handles in the money on our current futures trade short. Okay, here it comes back in, right? And so we got stopped out at 233, 232.50 once it broke that lower level, but we bought it right back up because our level was going to be 233. So we did get stopped out. We were pretty patient. Then we bought it back and then took it all the way to the long side, reloaded it here at the 50 period, at the 200 period, brought it back to the upside. It is by far P&L number one. It's not even close right now than anything else. So I really like Apple, and it's just I have so many fills because we were going real hard here on that. So here we go, fills again and part fills, and you guys can see exactly what's going on. But there it is right there. So there's some upside. There's a buy there again at 235 break. We bought that 235 all the way to 237.50. Bought the dips at that point into the 200 period and then able to make that money back. So there is a lot of outs, but it's all the way upside right there. As here come the futures, nicely done to the downside right here. Just took some bids. Did we get that 25 bid? No, we did not. Bounces off 37. So we do have a new level here. Let's put some out at 36. Did we get filled there? No, we did not. We're bidding 36s now. I think we made the level. Hopefully that will come in here as the futures are tipsy-turvy. But yeah, Apple, strong name on great iPhone reports. I think Apple was going to the all-time highs. It made that today. So maybe we retrace the rest, but I still think Apple's a buy tomorrow, today, every day until we officially get those numbers.
Yeah, look, obviously it did take that all-time high. It's going to close. We'll see where it closes, but if it closes above support, I mean, that's obviously going to be a good thing. It's not the only stock that had an all-time high reversal, because AMD did as well. So I had 233 as the level. Let me just, daily chart, 233, 233, 233. It's like 233 and change. Off the open, dip, it flushed it out. You're missing a bit of a wick, but that wick was right down into here. When it came back up, and sometimes you catch it on the back end of the trade or the front end of the trade, that was front end. The back end would have been trying to grab it in here. Did not get the fill, coming back through into VWAP. So at that point, did not have an entry plan, so did not trade it until it did a bit of a mean reversion. Again, like just a parabolic move to the upside, so let it get to 37, threaten the all-time high, essentially went from 13 pennies away from the all-time high, and then if you connect, like, that's kind of the trend. I missed it by a little bit. Did a bit of a mean reversion trade, played it back into 226 quarter, stopped it out break even, had some longs off VWAP to get some of it back, but ultimately, you know, like that's the biggest trade for me in terms of like where we're going to have shares on is going to be at that open. So we're just trying to get some back with that little short. It's easy enough to say you should have stuck with the short, but it was trending up and it broke out the high. And I didn't have an obvious re-entry at that point because once you got to about here, that started to be the move that we got in the chips. And then the focus was on, okay, well, let's look at the chip names. Possibly could have found something other than the VWAP trade later on in Apple. But once the chips started going with that ASML story, the focus for me went over to them and then trying to find a bottom, which eventually there was a decent one that got put in. And we can probably talk about it now because AMD's up.
Big weakness in AMD, big weakness in all the chips today. Really, all of them red on my watch list except for Marvell. Keep tabs on that. 5% plus. Looking to flat bottom break here on AMD. Really, as a result of the ASML guidance which was leaked apparently midday. Also, the U.S. looking at export restrictions to the Middle East this time, specifically not for concerns about re-exporting to China, but finding it in the hands of unsavory actors. Let's call it that, guys. 5% and still going.
Okay, not unsavory actors. Okay.
I didn't look at. I didn't look at it.
AMD. Oops, that chart. There we go. Now you'll be able to see it when it comes over. Because I don't want. If we can come to the chart for a quick little second here. Thank you very much. AMD. If I made one keystroke error today, I wish it was anything but AMD. So there was the 162. What's the big deal about 162 bucks? There is the 200 period moving average, a place where good stocks bounce. I'm not, you know what, that's an overstatement. Usually speaking, in a general sense, you like to buy goods. I like to buy good stocks or quality companies off the 200 period moving average. But AMD's been struggling with it recently. Did not run away from it. Today, it lost the support at 62. That's me breaking in at 62, throwing a stop to get out. Generally speaking, if I'm taking a 162 break, the stop's going to go with the $0.50 on a stock like this. It didn't. I actually threw it at the wrong $0.50 and punched out right away while we were trading. We were in Alibaba at the time, so I didn't get over to it fast enough. And then AMD just proceeds to bleed. Where are you going? I'd like to think the 50 period moving average here on the daily. 151 down here, that's your 50 period. 150 is a bit of a round number, but support was at 48, and you've got 151, 152 is where the 50 period is. With a break like this, I don't think I'd be looking bounce until you get to that level. 155, if we're still hanging around on a Friday, would make some sense for AMD. But the chips, not necessarily looking pretty good. When ASML came to the downside, it did make that bottoming tail. The lesson of the day I was talking about, ASML made that bottoming tail candle, confirmed the long, and went into a trend reverse on Intel here, and then set that up. Then went into the 23 short. I got stopped out here when it broke 23 the first time we reversed short on Intel, and then there's the wick into VWAP, the second wick into VWAP, and then a lower high under 23, and then jumping back into the short. So this one's still, I think, relatively weak, but it's not really bleeding much anymore. If you look at Intel from the lows, it's still in an upward trend, relatively speaking. And I'm talking about since it made those lows. Clearly the stock's in a downward trend in the long sense, but obviously you have to go station to station here. It's no longer really moving 10, 15%. Like it was doing that off of those bottoms. But when ASML made that curl, anything you were looking at, there was a good confirmation candle in ASML that we were talking about for the middle of the lesson of the day, and essentially boiled down to here. ASML, which was the reason why these chips were all going to the downside or accelerating to the downside, there was your bottoming tail wick. It then goes sideways, confirms at about 10:45, and then that was the little rally that most of the chips had. So a few names you were able to sort of wait for confirmation, and then it went to the upside. But ASML ended up closing on the lows anyway. Got to watch out for this tomorrow. ASML, worth putting up on your quote board if you don't already have.
Yeah, we use ASML to make back some of that loss there on Nvidia. I mean, you guys want to ask about AMD? Let's just stick with AMD. I mean, it's been red. You know, we had that conference there that show me whatever it was there, and it was not a great AI event. I mean, the event was probably fine, but people just realized how much further they are away from Nvidia, right? I mean, they're talking about chips at Nvidia already selling at a discount. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening here on AMD. I think it continues to be pretty weak. We'll have to look at it at 150. But I mean, I still don't mind the long until we get underneath the 50-period moving average, but definitely seems to be more headwinds than tailwinds right now for Nvidia as it continues to make moves down. The only trade really would have been that 200 or the VWAP and all that. So normally we would be all over this stock. Today we chose Nvidia, not AMD. But I mean, it's pretty obvious what's been happening. If you just look at Nvidia here quickly, and we'll go over everything. But you know, this is what Nvidia's daily. I'm only looking down here on the middle of the screen. Nvidia's daily basically has 6 or 7 up days there, and as opposed to AMD's that has 4 or 5 down days leading into today. So, which is the biggest red day of the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, look, I feel like it's pretty easy there. Trade the strong names short, the strong names long, and the weak names short. And AMD has been weak now for a couple minutes here, about a week off that 175 down to 156. I was even saying to Sharif today, before all this happened, I was like, man, Nvidia could still lose this. And I said this yesterday. I said, Nvidia has 20, 30% pullbacks, like no problem. It's already happened many, many times before. So for Nvidia to go from 140 to 110 or 115 wouldn't surprise me. AMD's already in the midst of doing that.
United Health reported this morning beating on the top and bottom line, but missing on guidance, popping up about off the lows, 7 2/3%, guys, but off the lows.
Back already? UNH.
So,
hey.
You know what? For the umpteenth time, like when a good company goes 10% down, sometimes it's just a really good spot. Now, UNH, I'm not going to sit here and analyze the earnings. That's for analysts to go ahead and try and do to the best of their abilities. But UNH was a $60 stock. It went 10% down at $544.86. So right off the open, this was it right about here going for an SSR bounce. Within a couple of minutes, it had held the higher low, holding the 45 level. So back through 545, goes right into VWAP, 550, 552 or so. So you probably risk, reasonably speaking, $1 plus slippage to get a move into VWAP. It then double taps that low and then really starts going. Obviously, this is a pretty, I'd say, widely held name by a lot. So this is a very large move. Support didn't really matter. There was support, it looked like, at 552 or so. You need this one to settle down for a couple days. It's one thing to say, as a trade, you get one of those crazy down moves, it holds 10% down and then recovers. But let's see how this acts the next couple of sessions. This had just double tapped fresh highs, triple tap technically, and now you could see the 200-period moving average. I mean, obviously 525 has been a big level, and that's where the 200 periods hits. I don't think it's crazy that a stock like this gets there. It's breaking out of a pretty distinct downward trend, of which some of those highs, 550, 525, things like that there on UNH. So I think this one needs to settle down a couple of days. That SSR bounce was really the play.
So the market's down pretty good today. Remember yesterday when we bought some XBI? I mean, we bought some XBI at $99. Right now it's at $99.61. So XBI today, wow, it did have a nice little dip down into there. So we were out of the money for a minute. Now in there, and again, more healthcare. XLV is the healthcare, XLV.am, I guess, is the healthcare, not Blue Ocean, or there it is, XLV.am. Healthcare ETF obviously getting dripped down today a little bit as well. So if you did like to space, down into here into 150 or so, could be a good little level for the XLV. Take advantage of that today if you like it. Nice moves up, huge moves up. Take advantage of United Health's weakness into the ETF. So that would be a play for me right there. And then also the diamonds. UNH is a big piece of this as well. UNH, there it is right there. This is the Dow Jones. So if you're going to look at this name as well, probably, I don't know what it is today. I haven't looked, but there it goes. That's still XLV. Okay, DIA, there it is. Down 0.63. So again, probably most of that is United Health related. So we'll wait to see what happens there. But United Health, like the name, just a little bit of a different play there.
And that analysis in this segment brought to you by Trade the Pool, our good friends there, allowing traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's how they give a true trading edge. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power. and all you've got to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they have reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase. And the profit split has been upgraded. So you keep 70% of the profits. You should definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description for more information. Shout out to Trade the Pool. And good luck on that UNH. I like that XBI. Something that, a few people have been mentioning the last couple of days, that XBI. And certainly HIMS, while not in that index, that has been running as well. It's a good place to hide when you have a lot of these tech names coming back in. But another good place to have hid today, I suppose, for the long, is Bitcoin.
Absolutely broke almost through that $68,000 level. Great day for Bitcoin. Yesterday saw more than $500 million in net inflows into the spot ETFs, with 10 of the 12 spot ETFs that track Bitcoin reporting positive inflows. You'll see over here IBIT up 2.1%. Joe was in this the entire midday show. Good look today for crypto, guys.
All right, so Joe was in this. Okay, let me have a quick look at what Bitcoin's been doing. We looked at this as a 15-minute marker last time, and we sort of identified this level right there, 66.4 or so. We broke it both times. It was a pretty huge trade. So if we actually just zoom into when we did break it, right into here. So there's the 66.4, break. Rips all the way 67.7. So, nice move up. And then makes a move right back down into the similar level, 65.4. So up about 1,000, down about 1,000, and now continuing higher right now goes BTC. So yeah, very, very successful moment there for any Bitcoin traders that have been buying dips today. This is the 200 period moving average. Again, this is a 15-minute chart, so I don't normally chart on that. We'll go to a 1 minute here and just to have a quick look to see if there's anything that I'm looking at. So again, a 50 period moving average and a 200. I don't have VWAP on here, but right now Bitcoin continues to move higher. I would say if you're going to get out, the 50 period is going to be in and around 67,000 pretty soon, and you're at 67.3. So I really like the long. I've already talked about where I think this is going, and I think it's going higher. I think you're going to have 6 digits on this thing pretty soon.
I think here, and a lot of people have looked at like maybe breaking out, uptrend, and all that kind of stuff. It's just the one trend. Once you get above this trend line, I think then you can really explode. Right now, obviously, a descending wedge means that you can go a little bit lower each time, but you still effectively have to take out the 70,000 level. That's the one big level out and about on this daily here that needs to go. So once that happens, I think longs into the 74 and then higher. So we made a really good challenge today, and last couple of sessions, you've got a really good challenge here to that 70,000, or at least this trend high. Just a couple more days worth of push, and it looks like this is going to be the breakout that everyone's sort of been waiting for. But I don't know. Like, it's one thing to anticipate that break. There's been some good bounce levels if you really waited for like the 50s or so, but unless you're trying to get those, I think letting it break that 70,000 for the next leg up would make some sense. There's this weird wedge thing happening on coin, and a similar thing for MAR, which I'll get to in a quick second, where it's like higher highs and higher lows into essentially the previous close. So it made a $20 move yesterday, and then today, top to bottom, it's got a $16 move to be right back where things ended. So I feel like an over-under is like red-green on Coinbase this afternoon. It's a weird one. It's not very often you see a couple of parabolic days and then a stock fail a breakout that big, go all the way back into the bottom, and then manage to settle right in the middle. But it just needs to break this wedge in one direction or another, or there's not much to do there with coin. I think it's going to be wild, but tomorrow, which I was just in, VWAP the first time, 17 teens to evens, reload, it broke VWAP, now it's wicking right back underneath. So it's lower highs into Mara. As long as it holds under VWAP, I'll keep trying to re-enter this one underneath VWAP. But it's a very similar story. The only difference with Mara is it didn't, like it had yesterday's range, it didn't have the rinse all the way to the bottom. It essentially went 16.8 to $18, made a little bit of a higher lower high here, but then settled right back in at the 17.25. Now yesterday, this did eventually get to 16.90 after getting out of the trade for flat. but it took right to the end of the day. You need Bitcoin to be falling a little bit or showing a little bit of weakness off those highs. And then the short off VWAP here looks good.
Big move on drug today, sub 3 million float. We don't really know why it's moving, but it's moving. Got over 1,000% at the highs, coming off that double top now, still making lows. Still about 873%, guys, as I mentioned, sub 3 million float.
Don't know why that one's moving.
It's on drugs.
Yeah, I haven't. I'll look at it. I haven't really looked at it today yet, though. All right. Yeah, it must be on something. That is for sure. Yeah, up. This is funny because of how much it's up today. 900%. I mean, let me use our e-signal charts here. Just having a little bit of a cleaner look to see on the daily. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. I was going to make sure that there was nothing on this, but there's what it looks like here. We can zoom out for this is quite the move up here for Bright Minds Biosciences right now. We can check a weekly chart for this thing. Okay, $42 all the way down. A couple of splits in here, 1 to 5.
There you go.
The low's been 93 cents. The high before today has been $2.66. So we'll have to wait to see that. It has split, so I don't want to talk too negatively about it. But at the end of the day, huge move to the upside now. We could probably find the shortable shares on this. I don't know if it's getting a lot more than, possibly today. People could be layering into the shorts. I don't know if people are getting stopped out or not. Let me just see what it says right here. DRUG, drug. There it is. Bright Minds Biosciences right now. Yeah, see, the short flow is only 3%. That's obviously not right. Circuit breaker. Yeah, statement by foreign issuer. So there was some sort of a Form 6 that happened on Friday, October 4th. That was a long time ago. All right, so we'll just find out more about it. But a bunch of halts here today. And yeah, I guess there isn't too much here. Why Ericsson is trading higher by around 9%. That's Ericsson. This is Biosciences.
So it's related to Ericsson?
I don't know. We'll find out more about this. I don't think it's related to in pre-market trading after jumping 132% on Monday. So yeah, I mean it's just a wild stock right here with drugs. So I don't know, man. I don't know what it is to short this thing. I would say, I mean, you've already based up here in and around $30. So for me, that looks like a decent area there to defend. If it gets back into $30, I think you got to give it at least $2 worth of a shot there. 32 has been the high. So I'd say you start your short in and around 29.30. But yeah, very, very difficult trade there if you're in it. It's drug to the long side, up 900%. It looks like 4 or 5 halts at least today. To me, it's a little too dangerous to trade this, but.
Yeah, I was just gonna double check what
what
the locates were on it. Like this is basically, if anyone was around for HKD, that's probably the closest thing that this is to right now. And if you remember, like HKD, when it unwound, it's like when it started to unwind was the time to actually be trying the shorts in it, not necessarily on the first couple of days because that just kept looking good and looking good. And then if you didn't have some kind of a reasonable out where you get liquidity, you were getting absolutely rinsed. Because HKD, once it started to unwind, it was just every single day you would look for the short. Yeah, you had double top. You've already double topped this 30 level. I was going to double check to see what the locates are, but to be honest with you, I mean, it would have to do something pretty spectacular to be a reasonable short at this point. So I would do a pass on it. What I would say is, and I wanted to be able to zoom in here, like if you're ever trading these or like looking at one of these runners, the day 2 type play, it had already halted up once. Look at the hold at VWAP. And this is early in the day, in the first hour if you're watching it. It's kind of supporting $4.15 with a local high up here about $4.50. So it's a very tight range consolidation that it initially breaks out. That's at least a trade that I think traders that, we look, like traders here, probably you can put something on there. If you're looking at this stock, it's a tight range. You can give it to under $4, even if you have like a 4.25 or 4.30 price. Maybe the same thing here at like 11. But once it starts going parabolic, what do you do with that? Unless you have a specific halt strategy, halt to halt. If you want to be able to get in these early, when you give a consolidation breakout, that's at least a setup that most people are going to be familiar with because it's going to resemble a regularly traded stock, for lack of a better term.
Yes. There. I had to restart my YouTube froze on me. Okay, so right now, there we go. We are going to go to the downside right now, thankfully, for the futures now about, I just kind of use the pennies as the handle. I mean, it is close. It's about 15 handles now in the money on this trade as we just shorted the top. And we got more into that as we were talking about some of these names. So, so far, so good here as we stick with our guns on this. I just tweeted something out. Who's calling me here? Oh, random number. Okay. This is pretty interesting. I just, Dara found this for me, so I just put it out as well. Right into here. Let's see. Tech is still king. So this shows you right now why are you invested in anything else? Basically, this is S&P 500 year-to-date sector performance. The thing is, the S&P 500 itself is up 24%. So the only thing beating the broader market, if you took everything equally weighted, again, there is RSP for equally weighted, but I'm just talking about the SPY right now, the S&P 500. Oh, there it is right here. Sorry, my bad. It is right in there. S&P 500. Maybe I can zoom in just a little bit there. S&P 500 again. That's the one there, weighted 22%, right in the middle. So the only there we go. Thank you, Fabian. The only sectors beating the S&P 500 right now are going to be financials. We've seen some big moves in that over the last couple of days, obviously on that earnings and those calls right there as well. Utilities, comm services, and information technology, of course, is what we are referring to as the NASDAQ. So nice moves there, as you guys can see. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening here. But we have midday madness and a recap right now with Adara.
In case you're away from your desk during that midday session, let's take a look at some of the bigger things that happened during that period from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We do have the cues here trying to form a little bit of a base around that 491 level. Of course, right before the midday session began, we had a big push down in these chip stocks as ASML had its earnings report released. Then the company actually saying that was, quote, erroneously published early. So interesting note there for these markets. But in terms of things happening in the midday, we did have a lot of small cap moves. We talked about DRUG, Bright Minds Biosciences, pushing higher. Oil still weak. Semiconductor still trying to find their footing. And one of the bigger things going on starting around 1 p.m. was we had comments from Donald Trump in an interview. So DJT was on watch all afternoon. Fed comments were on watch as well, specifically Fed's daily, saying that just because there didn't seem as much Fed dissent doesn't mean that all of the Feds are in agreement. So echoing some comments from last week as well, coming out of the FOMC minutes and from Fed's Bostic. But in terms of some of these stocks moving on comments from Donald Trump, we had GOGL taking a bit of a brief push to the downside when Donald Trump said the company's, quote, been very bad to him and said he'd, quote, do something in terms of breaking them up with regards to the DOJ. So interesting look there for GOGL. We also had US Steel moving to the downside, then recovering pretty nicely on comments that Donald Trump saying if elected, he would be moving to stop the merger between US Steel and Nippon Steel if it had not been completed at that time. So lots of movement there during that midday session. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, I think you could, there's probably algos you can turn on whenever you're getting specifically regarding if Trump is talking or if Biden's talking, and you kind of know where you want to look. U.S. Steel, obviously, in deal space, like for it to give you that V-shaped recovery, it's like once they drop the bid because he's speaking negatively, and then all of a sudden you get that bounce to the upside. But speaking of bounces to the upside, in the market's holding on the lows, Amazon is bouncing off VWAP and continuing a trend higher. This feels a little bit different from just about everything else that I'm looking up at. So Amazon looking pretty strong in here. It just took out 187 and is continuing to go higher. Just going to go to the 15-minute charts. Let's go to the daily chart first because it's important where we came from. We're bouncing off the 50 period already, so good sign, bouncing off the 50, resuming back into the highs. Amazon feels like it is poised to make a run at this 190 level. And if it can break that out, this could be the next one to make a run at some of those highs. For now, it's just relatively strong above VWAP. If it doesn't get back into VWAP, market bouncing off the lows, I want to look to just underneath this 187. If we do break this, look for the VWAP trend. If the market takes out the lows, it's a different story at this point. Like if the market's going to take some fresh lows, I'm not going to necessarily be jumping on the bid of Amazon. But as long as we don't make a fresh low, I want to get into the Amazon party. As I like the company. I like the fact that it's trying to go green here. It's above VWAP. It's been making higher lows since about 10:30 when all that ASML stuff was happening. So this one should be on watch here. Let us know what else you guys are watching in here. Jose, really? We got Amari Cooper? Oh, word?
Oh, good.
Oh, word? Oh, okay, that'll work. That'll work. I'll take it. You guys, hopefully you're not trolling me.
No, that makes sense because
No, it makes sense because now that Adams
they were
is gone.
probably on Adams a little bit anyways.
What
and
the
then,
hell
they
is
gave
even
it.
that?
Okay, I just want to go over right now just quickly here. This is as of Poly Market. So this is another market here. The presidential election winner, now Donald Trump, 58% chance. So we'll sit here and look at stocks like DJT. We'll sit here and talk about oil names. We'll sit here and talk about how he hates Google for some reason. But right there, that's the updated market right here. We talked about that earlier. Sharif was talking all about that, but that is what we're talking about right now as, you know, solar names. Talked about that. EV names as we get the new, you know, whether or not that's going to be better for Donald Trump or for that presidential race coming through November 4th. That's when that closes. But November 5th, of course, we will hopefully find out where we go on all of that. I'm going to stay net short right now on everything. I feel like we've done pretty good so far. I took another bid here on the TQs. This is now, again, another 20 handles in the money as we try to go lower. Just taking another piece out near the bottom of the futures trade here. So again, like the trade, let's see if we can't get it going even lower now on the NASDAQ. That would be nice. We just took out some more on Tesla, so let's go on that one. A little bit of diamond hands here for Tesla. You don't even see where my ins are. It was so long ago. This was 11 o'clock. We've been in this name, and it is now $1.50 in the money. And despite the market being, I mean, this is kind of a good thing for me, despite the market being down right now, you know, down below VWAP right here, Tesla's actually holding near these highs. So I actually don't mind Tesla right now, but we are getting lighter and lighter on this position and trying to get out. And I think that that's what we always need to figure that out, right? Is that when you're sitting here trading, you don't want to get caught the wrong way on just a quick little move. So let's see if the market continues lower. We can always get out of Tesla if it breaks the 200 period, which is at 220. So that would be a decent spot, to get out of that trade. If that's the case. And then Google, we do have 10% left. I don't know what I'm still doing in this. You could see probably about 9 outs. We get a lot out right there at the 200 period and the 50 period moving average. We're going to have some videos out about all that. Like, that's just the way I have to trade, and I trade that way every time. So if we can get the bottom and we can get it back into some of these levels, that's where we wind up taking it out. But Google right here, actually at an interesting level, I'm bidding 165.05 to get a little bit more on this, but I can see that this is not a horrible bid right now either. But you know, we're short the market and we have a decent position there. I don't know if we need to reload Google right now. So let's see if the market can come back, and we'll see if we can get Google closer to 165. So that's sort of where I'm at right now with that trade. So we'll wait to see if it comes into 165, and then we'll average in, because I'd like to see the futures bleed a little bit more, to be honest with you. We have a whole bunch of outs here at the low of the day. Look, we are long the TQs here, but have the ability to switch it up, right? Have the ability to start to say, you know what? The market's down. The TQs are now down 4%. The NASDAQ's down 1 1/3. Why not just flip it over into the short? So there's the short off the 200 period 3 times and able to make all that back. So far, so good here on that TQ short. And I'm just going to sit in it. You know what? I mean, as I say that, I'll get another bid here at 25. There it goes, as it comes right back in and gives it to us. But more to come. My next bid is 73.05. Let's see if we can get that.
Yeah, I like this market coming back in here. But if you're at support, you're at support. So, you know, like until it showed this 2280 level support previously. It's already bounced once. I'm kind of a heavy candle, bounce, and then now holding again. So just took another leg out. I'm bidding at the 3/4 mark. But yeah, Mark just said DJT plummet. No, isn't it going?
Someone said plummet in
there. Oh, it is plummeting. Okay. Well, a second ago it was bouncing. It is what it is. Like I had pulled it up. I had seen it bounce off of 30, but now it is actually plummeting to the downside. What are the odds? I mean, did something hit?
I think it's because I put up the presidential election odds there, but that doesn't make any sense.
Wow, that's intense.
It's like we started talking about Adara. Adara brought the attention on that drug stock, and then remember it plummeted right away.
It was right. If anyone watching, you saw, like as he was talking about it, it made that fresh high at 30 and was at 24. But DJT is accelerating to the downside here.
I wanted to get puts on that.
Yeah, like it looks like 28. I don't know. It's the big level here is going to be 27 and then 24 back here on DJT on the daily chart.
Let's move back.
I mean, there was support at the $23 level, but yeah, pretty big reversal on DJT. I guess it doesn't. Oh, there's not enough. Yeah, it's sort of the problem. Unless you have the DWAC data, you don't have a 200 period on the daily. Because it hasn't been, I guess it hasn't been 200 days since it went to DJT. Otherwise, I'd have data on it. But I guess, on anything, of course, you'll have it. So it might have been a rejection. It looks like it could have been a rejection off that. And Steve Canyon in the chat just said it is. But visually speaking, that's what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah, the chart right there, $34 or so, Fabian, right there. 34.24 was the 200 period moving average. And I mean, this is why we look at it all the time. There's the bounce off of it again. It didn't mean much into here. So sometimes it's not going to do anything, right? I mean, a lot of the time I feel like, and we talk about this on the show, it's like you can find a chart, one chart that'll tell you one thing and another chart that'll tell you another thing. So, you know, you just basically just got to try to stick with what you're comfortable doing and follow your patterns and just see if they make sense to you. But there it is right there. The 200 period on the daily is a good spot to reject. And that's exactly what it did at $34. So I wouldn't say that, you know, oops, I have Tesla up right here. I just got another piece out on Tesla, by the way. I wouldn't necessarily say that DJT there is following any technicals or anything like that, but that one, you know, that was there at $34. And I mean, that's the high of the day, 34.25. So, you know, if there was a rejection there for some kind of reason, that might have been it. For me, I look at this and say, okay, we rejected there, rejected. It's basically triple topped, and now it's all the way to the downside. So now you're trying to find some bids. I wrote down $30 before. When we had first sort of started this day, that could have been something, and we bounced off of $30.50, but it didn't hold 30 at all. It came into 30, then cracked right in. Now you're finding some bids maybe at 28.29. That is apparently looks to be something like one of the bottoms there, $29 or so on DJT. So maybe you're into something if that's your thing there, but I don't know. I didn't pay for shorts. Not that I would go short on this name.
Well, you don't have to.
Oh, you don't have to today?
No, sorry. No, you do have to pay for locates. You don't have to trade DJT to the downside because Funware has only been moving in sympathy. So the way I see it is if Funware is simply going in sympathy, that's a mouthful, then it's a much more reasonable place to look for the short. Like, it's not as much of a rationale as to why it's going to go up. I mean, the daily chart is not entirely dissimilar, but it's been participating. There's your pullback. It was already pulling back. It's underneath VWAP. If it loses this opening range bottom, or sort of, well, this afternoon bottom, it's 587, and I have DJT up. If that's making fresh lows, we lose this bottom, I'm just going to punch short and give it to this little wick in here, which is about 610. So with DJT continuously making lows, now you can pay for locates on DJT. We actually have free locates on Funware at Real Trading. So it is free for us to go short this. If it breaks this little consolidation bottom, when it goes, DJT is going into a halt down.
What?
I'm just gonna
get some.
Just gonna punch short and fun. So DJT is going into the halt band. So just
it's halted now.
I was trying to flip over very quickly, but Sean already had it up. So DJT now halted limit down. I guess, it has to be a limit down. It looks like it moved about 10%.
Yep, that about right.
So the tap is 27.10.
Yeah, I guess 31 to 28. Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know why this Benzing is not telling me that it's halted in our ear. Oh, there it is. Just hearing now, halted circuit breaker. Yeah, so limit up, limit down. Right there, 27.88 is the last price there for Delta Julia Tango DJT making a move down there. So that again, you know, you do have 10% moves, right? And so if it moves 10% in that 5 to 10 minute window, which that's what I was worried about there. But it looks like, there was about, 31, if we're starting here at 31, so that was about 230. Yeah, so I guess it just went SSR, in my opinion. Like, that was just in that 10-minute window there to give that to you. So, okay, nice move down there on DJT, top to bottom. If you had that short, you're now in a halt state. It is tapping right now, which is the theoretical auction price. So you might hear us talk about that. Can you zoom into this, Fabian? It's not that big of it. Can you do it on the top left? Or all right. So right now, see, it's 27.51. So as there, stop right there. So that is theoretical auction price right there. So it closed. That's good, Fabian. No, you're good, my guy. Now you're not that. Oh, yeah, that's fine. I was just going to show that it's 27.88 and it's 27.50 right there. So right now, if it were to open right now, based on the supply and demand that's in the auction, it would open up at 27.50, and I will update that as you probably get that 5-minute halt. Now it's 27.30, 27.31s. Now it's back to 27.50. So, don't hold your breath if you're waiting for this. They're now 27.28. So it just keeps on going. All right, thanks, Fabian. Let's get off of that. And I want to show one more thing here. The more important thing that should matter, and I can just sort this by time, and we should be able to get, no, I don't, oh, DJT is a NASDAQ name. There it is anyways. Okay, so there it is, DJT. So right now, oh, it's small. Wow. There's only a very small amount right now. So here's DJT is what we're looking at. So right now this is what's getting paired off. So as more and more shares enter, wow, now you're at 27.11. So there's been 140,000 shares now entering the auction, and then that will determine whatever this opening price is based on bid and offer and where we go. So
and there was a question in the chat.
27.12 right now. 27.06.
It's
So if you got that, you might be good. Did fund halt or no?
No, it's not halted. It did break down that level. It was like 587 or 88 actually. It broke. I got 86.5 there. But someone was asking in the chat, like, why is it halted if it's not down X 10% on the session? So halt bands have to do with going too far too fast in the moment. So within like a 5-minute period, depending on share price, because every market does it differently. If it's a penny stock, the bands are much wider. But you move 10% too fast, or in a really expensive stock, 5% way too fast, then you get to a halt band, and it has 15 seconds. Like DJT absolutely could have reopened if it had gone up. Like it didn't have to go into a halt, but it kept trying to go to the downside. It can't go a penny lower when it hits the band, and then now you're going to be in that halt. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Fund did break that flat bottom break, but it's not really moving that crazy. It'll likely ideally wait until DJT opens back up. I'm half curious if, not that it necessarily would matter, but I mean, I wonder with that mess, no, okay. I was going to see if drug maybe just out of like sheer panic, seeing something else halt to the downside, whether drug actually did a bit of a...
next, man.
Well, it's you know what, they're not related.
4 minutes in so far.
It's just like one squeeze name kind of goes to the downside. It wouldn't have surprised me if the bids got a little bit skittish there on DURG. What's the name of this company? So I'm not just calling it drug.
Bright.
It's Bright. What do you say?
Bright Bioscience.
Bright Bioscience. But it's actually holding the bid. So good on that stock. There was a question earlier I wanted to mention about CELH before that happened.
DJT has 30 seconds.
30 seconds? Okay, we'll have to stick with it.
Until it opens. No, go ahead.
Well, there was a question about CLH, but it was just on the higher time frame. And I wanted to sort of confirm what a couple of viewers were mentioning for CELH. Celsius, we always try to talk about let it round out a bottom and then show you strength. Well, that'll happen once it cracks about 36 bucks. So you have resistance here. It's now 4 days in a row holding 35 with wicks. It'll break the 50-period moving average with a take of that $36 level. It's getting really close, it looks like, to finally rounding off that bottom and breaking back out. So it's open.
27 bucks flat, I think, is where the print was.
Yep.
So here it comes. Come over to the screen. So there it goes. It looks like 27 flat. That's where the tap wound up. So you can see right there, 27 is what tapped out right there. And now we'll see what's going to happen here to DJT as we are now open. And it is going down a little bit lower through that 27. We'll see if it can hold now 27.50. So it does bounce off pretty complete there off of 27. So that tap was the reopen. I would say you go short if it breaks that 27, which it's about to do right now. And there it goes to the downside goes Fraser, because it's hitting it right now. Downside. Is Trump selling right now? I don't know, but there goes the move down. Really decent volume, man. Some of these candles, 500,000 shares or more per minute right now on DJT, 70 million shares on the day. So it breaks through 27. Now it retakes that closing auction price of 27, now 27.50. Can I hear 28? Can I hear 28.50? Can I hear 28 and a quarter? Going higher, 27.75 right now for DJT as it's getting higher up there right now. Here we go. Donald J. Trump and company. Shout out to my good friend Sharif. With that line, Donald J. Trump. But the futures are going to the downside as Trump media going to the upside right now. Was down almost 10%. I don't think it got SSR there. I did not notice. So I'm the first to admit that. But
I think it did.
Did it? Okay, because now we have an E on here.
It closed $29.95, so exactly $3 down would be $26.95. I have the low of $26.78, so it did go SSR just there. Ooh, so this is short sell restricted now.
Someone saying there was a new poll that just released, but I'm not sure
there is?
true either.
Well, we don't know if there's a story
By
here.
the way, the market right now, guys, let's go. We are now 40 handles in the money on this trade. So, I mean, these are futures trades, man. So hopefully they can come back into the downside here as we start to drip lower. Right now, I'm bidding 73.05s. Nice trade there on the TQQ. We're going to wait. We are going to try Google a little bit at 165.05 and give that a run to 165. Maybe it holds. Maybe it doesn't. That's fine. If it doesn't, we will jam out of that trade stat if it doesn't hold. Tesla, we were able to get out of another piece there. So right here, we have a couple percentage points left on this one. If Tesla breaks 220, let's get out of that and then just watch this market come back into the downside as it's doing right now. Quickly just canceling my Tesla stop because my stop was a lot lower than this. 218.48 was my stop on this. So I gave this trade 50 cents worth of space to make 250 on it, 5 to 1. We'll do that all day. 219.89er. Let's get out everything if it breaks lower than that. That's Tesla, and right now we're waiting for a break of 220. So that's the stop there. It's a great trade, hopefully on the futures. We'll take out another piece right here. There we go. Take it another piece at 15s. But yeah, market coming back in just a little bit now. Tesla moving, DJT, we sort of just talked about it. I don't really want to leave it. I don't have anything on, so but there it is now. It's still at...
It's holding its 27
actually,
as well.
Yeah, what's up with that? It's kind of just doing nothing here at 27.
Yeah, and the fact that it's holding 27s, I'm going to jump out of fun.
You cannot be surprised by this action. I honestly...
No, I'm not.
It's like when you get that drug stock, like you're up 900%. If this thing flushes 400%, you know, you'd be like, oh my God, this is crazy. But really, I mean, on the way up, we're like, yeah, the dream is alive. But on the way down, we're like, I can't believe that there's something wrong with the market. But at the same time, you know, it cuts like a knife. So you got to go both ways on that one and just play it for what it is. I'm getting more out of the futures here. I think we've done enough damage. But there's always more to come right now. And I think DJT might have found that base in and around 27.
That whole price was 28 even, so I'm basically out of fun. Because if it doesn't go, like, come on, give me a break. It broke 80s and went down to 70s. That's it. Well, DJT's flying around. So now I'm pretty much out of it. DJT itself, now short sell restricted. The whole price was at 27, let's just call it 27.90. I think it was like 88 or something like that, but call it 27.90, 28. If it gets back above 28 even, being short sell restricted, after that volume candle to the downside, you can have a nice little relief rally. I think at least to maybe the 29 here, where there was, I guess it held up every single even dollar. Like 30 was support for a bit, 29 looking like it's trying to be something, but it needs to get past the whole price. When you have moves like that, the whole price becomes a sort of de facto support or resistance level in lieu of anything else. So we'll have a quick look at that. It can't seem to break. I have it up on a level 2. It's just holding $27.50 at this point. If we get anything better than that to the upside, we'll let you guys know. There's a refresher at 27.5. It won't let it through. Once again, in the same position as Intel will not break this 2280. So it just bounced off the same low. Just keep on getting more out. It just does not want to go too much higher. Right, here comes DJT. Now it's trying to break this 28 level. So there's that halt. Trying to get through the halt price. Can't seem to get enough of a bid to power through that $28 level. Unfortunately for DJT. It's trying valiantly after that SSR bounce, but there's just no follow through. The sellers, every time it gets up to like the 70s and 80s, you know, there's sellers that come in there and just start selling chunks of it. So you're not really getting that real push through. Either way, yeah, fun's not really going. I'm getting out of that one. Get the break even out. The theory would be, if Funware was a sympathy play, that you should break here and just absolutely flush. But during the halt, it didn't go. And then when it reopened, it didn't go. So you're looking for here with DJT's making fresh lows, like that break is to go to there and then to flush down to like 525. Like that's what you're looking for. Like you wouldn't mind taking it from step 1, but at some point, it's not falling the same way that DJT initially did, so you just get out of it. And sometimes, you know, if GameStop's going up and you've taken sympathy play on like, a lot of times I would do BlackBerry, that works great. GameStop goes into a halt, you short the sympathy name, maybe it's cost, maybe it's BlackBerry, you want that to work right away, or there's no reason to still be in it. I'm going to go back over to Amazon because the market keeps bouncing off the lows, and Amazon doesn't want to seem to get the VWAP in here. It is now just sideways underneath the 187. So I keep thinking we'll test those lows, we'll get VWAP on Amazon, but it is just not happening. It's holding up strong enough. There's some confirmation. Now that you've made this nice low 186.85, if it can put in a higher low off of that, I guess long here and then stop out underneath 186.80 would be the trade. Doesn't seem like we were going to get VWAP here on Amazon.
All right, well, new trade alert. I mean, we waited for it. We got our 165.05s right now, so we're long at 165.06 here. And we just took a couple pieces out at 12s, like honestly, like just trying to scalp out a little bit here on Google. Our stop is only 10 cents, so we just took a little bit out. Let's see if it goes a little bit higher than this. We are waiting at 14s, then higher into the 20s, into the 30s, and so on and so forth with Google. I think this could be a little bit of a longer term play as we could. I mean, only because we're at the bottom here, we're going to play that break is where we're going to get out. So just thinking out loud is like, you know, if that's only 10 cents and if we're right, and this is sort of the bottom, the futures have bounced off of here before. We are also in the futures trade, which is a banger right now. This is a 40 handle winner that we have in this TQQs. You can see there on the chart. We're short FXI. FXI is almost $1 now in the money, as is Tesla long. TQs is 40 cents and Google is 7 cents. So if you just add up everything that we're in the money right now, we're in the money about a $2.30 or so in our four positions. Of course, the main one's going to be Tesla and then FXI, which we have from the morning, and there's small pieces. All right, so hopefully Google can go up just a little bit more. We'll take more scalps on that one as the market is downside, and we always want to get a little bit out just in case the market turns on us. So we'll get something out here, especially when we're trading counter trend on that one. We missed that 14. We did not even get filled there at 14. That would have been nice to get that, but we did not. We are actually holding up that print right there on ARCA. So hopefully that will go and we'll get some of that later on. All right, here go the TQs now 50 handles in the money as they continue to go lower, man. I mean, this was a great trade. Shorting the futures right off of the 200 period moving average. It was a good one. That was at about 222, so 122, so right into here. So that's 2,000. I won't cherry pick. 2,380. We're at 2,340 right now. So it is about a 40 handle banger right here on the futures. So far so good as we continue to watch these drop down into now day's low coming. It looks like anyways for the TQQ. Tesla just comes out, so that's going to be a banger of a trade. Yep, well, market's flushing, but we do this for the Tesla trade as it comes out for that dollar winner, and now we're out of that, and we'll just wait to see how low this market wants to go now. We are bidding, remember, 73.05. We haven't changed our opinion. That's where our bid's been for a minute, and it remains there. Let's see if we can get it on the TQs.
Yeah, market's heading right into those lows. There was a couple of questions I wanted to get to in the chat just to clarify something about stock being short sell restricted. Will there be fun and games after hours in DJT now that it's SSR? So the short sell restriction is only in effect during the market regular trading hours, 9:30 to 4 o'clock. So it doesn't, the uptick rule isn't going to be in effect after 4. That said, I would suspect probably there's going to be some action in DJT after 4 o'clock just because it's in play. But it's not going to be like short sell restricted. You can kind of, whatever gateways you have available, it should trade rather normally in the aftermarket as far as I know. You don't have halts in the aftermarket. You don't have the uptick rule. Right. It did break out that 28 level, and it's trying to get higher. Couldn't quite push into that 29. Looking for it to hold some kind of a higher low. Amazon did give the consolidation. The consolidation right here essentially at 187 with a 186.80 low as the market's trying to make a low. Fresh lows, this is at least holding that higher low. That's why I like it. And if it can take out that top, it's got some room. But if we lose here, got to wait in for VWAP as the next take. All right, so DJT doesn't seem like it wants to continue that long. If anything, it's already reversing before it even got to 29. So taking the stairs up, it took one step. It's kind of struggling at the second one as I'm having a look here. But yeah, kind of a dead cat bounce here after that halt to the downside. And because it's SSR, I would like for it to give some kind of a long entry dip, show actual support off the halt price, and then be able to take a shot off that halt 27, I think it was 27.85 level. But if we don't get it, I'm not going to chase it up here. I don't think you want to chase the long on DJT.
All right, so bang. We have a great trade again. Not a great trade, but we got some more out. We got some 17s now out on Google as it just made that way back upside, and then the futures also starting to go as well. So we actually take a 13. I I don't want to say like I was getting nervous or anything like that. I'm not sure those are the right words, but we were waiting for that 05. It got as low as 08 there. So then I took a 13 out, and we still are bidding some 05. So hopefully that will come in here for the future. FXI still in play. Let's go back and have a quick look at Apple. Apple doing nothing. Let's look at Alibaba maybe for some Chinese names coming through. We can look at some bank earnings as well. I mean, Netflix reporting later on this week. Affirm maybe on the lookout as well for potential move there for AFRM. Could come through at any point now as well. Yeah, there's Alibaba. Wow. All right. I sold half of my Alibaba position. We tweeted it out. We talked about it live on the show. I sold half of this at 117.50 in the after hours. And I remember Neil was doing the show, posted it on the chat, posted it in my account, and now Alibaba. Wow, what a good sell that was up here at 117 and change. If we like the stock, we might want to buy some right now. Make yourself 17% real quick right there on Alibaba as it's pulled right back in. So maybe we'll do that. I mean, I don't hate the stock. I mean, we have a really good average cost, but that's over with now. So we'll wait to see if this pulls back even further right now on Alibaba. And I mean, I've been really short FXI, and oh my, the TQs is now 70 cents in the money, which is about 60 or 55 handles or so now in the money on the NASDAQ short. And again, there it goes. I mean, I don't know what we're on right now, but like I keep saying, we should be trading there. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yes. The future is making that move right now back in. Oh boy, do we have a big one here for you guys right now. So this is going to be hopefully one that makes it dance. Nice move to the downside. Over 60 handles right now in the money on this futures trade. See, this is what I mean. We're just sitting here having a good time and showing you these trades, what we've been talking about all day. So there it goes. Nice move there. Nice move there. Nice move on the futures to the downside. So hopefully some of you have that. I mean, we got a good out there on Google as well. We still have half of this position on Google. So let's not get too excited, but still good outs at the top and a nice fade back in.
Yeah, I'm into DJT now. It just bounced off of $28 and it's trying to take out the top. I'm going to add through this local break at 28.70. Look for a push in through 29. If it gets through 29, trail is going to come in. So it just broke through. We'll get 60 is the price. Not going to move the stop. The stop is underneath this 30, which is this candle wick in here. So I'm stopping underneath 30, looking for a hold into the 29 even. If it gets to 29, I want to take some out. But again, the out is right underneath the 28.30. Wanted to make sure you put in some kind of a higher low so that it's not risk like $1 on the trade. If it gets through 29, then we can hold on for dear life. But wanted to find something risk to reward that made sense on an entry point. But we'll lose trend if we lose that $28.30 level. So something along these lines. So there's your trend. Held it to the upside, went for the local break. If we lose that candle, it's a simple out. So I like the risk to reward. Want to make sure something actually set up here on DJT. I'm not going to go back over to Funware, but obviously if we make some fresh lows, like if this goes through 26 again, I would jump right back over. At some point, I think that one would go. But it's looking for a trade that can actually set up. Easily could have just tried like 27 or at the bottom. I just don't like guessing. I like a setup here, and the setup was holding that trend line. So we took our shot, risking about 30 pennies on that one. I think about 35 when it's all said and done on DJT, but looks like it still wants to go back into that downside. So waiting for the trade to set up, take that shot pretty much 9 times out of 10. The break, I like the add there because it's going to be hard to pick up shares on the way downside without getting run over. So you really just got to try to buy it on the way up. When you're going down on an SSR name, it can be a little bit more dangerous. But looking for that mean reversion trade once it was back above the halt price was going to be the play here for myself. So took our shot at it, swing miss. I don't know if anything else is going to set up on DJT, but if it's not going to break back up after this, I would think the move is to said downside. And if that's the case, fund did just start heading back in. It's up 25%. I can't think of a logical reason why this is going to hold out too much strength if we make a fresh low. So I don't mind jumping back into this, but I only want to look short underneath that prior support level of the 585. It needs to lose that, and DJT needs to lose the bid at 28, which it hasn't quite shaken yet. I want to try to go station to station on Funware, but first things first, like a DJT has to lose the bid to jump into Funware, using it as like the futures for fun.
All right, tough one there on DJT, but yeah, that's, I mean, you got to take shots for sure. We're sitting here on the TQs with 70 handles in the money right now, and just loving what we're doing on this front. Google's a different story. It is breaking through now. We got stopped out on that. Oh, sorry, I'm still on TQs. Oh, there it is. There's another fill right there for 80 handles on the TQQs. But right here, we're long at 97, so it does break below, but then it kind of held. Now it's going, okay. I was going to say maybe it's going to hold here. We're long at 97s. I was going to get out on an 80 break if that does happen. I'm going to make sure I cancel that trade. 164.79. I actually had the wrong stop there. I just noticed I was going to get out if it broke 85s, which maybe I should because it's breaking right now. But that was that low wick right there. Now it looks like we're going lower. These futures, man, we nailed the short on the futures. It's too bad we hopped into equity. And I had talked about this, man. I mean, we definitely have been on one with these futures. Oh, my God, almost 100 handles right now in the money on this futures short as that's still coming in. But Google, we just lost, again, going long. Right there. Just stay with the good trades, and that is the TQQ. Wow, absolutely monstrous move coming back in right there. Let's just check in on DJT now fading back in there. So nice call on the short if you got it. 28.60s right there. Nice move down in there. Congratulations, anybody that has DJT. $1 almost in FXI. And then, of course, these NASDAQ trades just seem to want to hold out hope right now and go lower. So there, wow, okay. Oh, wow. This is like, I don't want to say it's a dream, kind of a short here, but we nailed this one, guys. I hope some of you are in this trade, and if you are, congratulations, because there it goes. TQQ will just take that fill there at 48. That's almost 100, it is 100 handles right there in the money, 100 handles for you on that short. So, good one there. Let's just keep it going. Out of Google, maybe we'll find our way back into that one. Apple at 233, but we're just in chill mode right now. Join me and Brian Shannon after hours. There it is, Neil. More than 100 handles on this short.
Yeah, good luck for that one. I jumped out of Amazon a long while ago, and this is got to have a plan of action. It goes to the local high. We take half out. It breaks. Don't hold into VWAP. Just jump out of the trade. Ultimately. Intel's still working into that downside. DJT is breaking lower. All right, funds trying to go. There's someone buying on Funware at 580. So there's a big support level, about 20,000 shares sitting on the bid, trying to hold out. If DJT breaks that low, I'm going to basically look to hit this guy at the 580 if it's going down through. So basically the same thing as before, looking for more fall through. If we're making my plan of action, if we're making fresh lows, then we're going to jump to the downside. I just think this one should be headed to the low of the day. If it's a sympathy play, it's a sympathy play. Intel $22.50 is where we're looking for the absolute out. I just got another fill. It just finally broke that shelf. The low of the day is 22.5, and the higher low from when ASML bounced was right here at about 22.65. So if it checks up there, I want to put a trailing stop in. Usually I've been giving it back to 23, but I'll put a trailing stop in if we bounce off 22.65 at all. Kyle Burdett in the chat. Thank you for the super chat, Big Kyle. Does the sky seem more clear and the sun brighter on this glorious day, or is it just me? I haven't looked outside since earlier in the day, so I'm going to make the assumption that it looks fantastic. But obviously,
it's a gorgeous day outside.
Is it? Okay, fantastic.
It is.
That's what I like to see.
Absolutely gorgeous day outside. It is even more gorgeous to be on this side right here because there's a couple chicken dinner winners right there. The futures now over that 100 handles. I think this is what you're referring to there, Kyle, as everything collapsing right now in the broader market. I mean, we could probably check out USO for oil heading to the downside right now. Gold going, actually oil's, it's heading to the upside. It's closed now at 230 there in Chicago, at NYMEX. But right now oil down 4% there today. But I mean, this for me is the trade. You're not going to see a chart or anything like that different than this. TQ's huge move down there to the downside, really trying to ring that register right now. But there goes the market ticking back up just a lot right there. Nice bounce back there in the broader markets. We only have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6% left of this position. I might just ring that out now as we just come back in. I don't know. That was a nice move to 2030. A nice little bounce off there. NASDAQ down 1.6%. This market will probably be bought back up tomorrow. So don't worry about it. right there, FXI on the lows of the day as well. So yeah, man, so far we'll wait to see what's going to happen with this name, but we are downside on FXI. I might just get out as we touch $31. We'll put $1 in our pocket right now on FXI and then just worry about that next trade, possibly getting out some more TQQs right now as well. And then there we go, we'll take some 52s out. And then we'll wait to see what happens moving forward. But FXI right now at that 31 bottom looks pretty good.
Pit Panda was asking what handles are. And there was another question. ASML was the leaked earnings. If you're watching, because that's the title of the afternoon show video, was leaked earnings. It was ASML. They trade primarily in Europe, and they leaked their earnings. It brought the entire chip space to the downside. If you want to explain what I can if you wanted to. It's just someone was asking what handles are. It's just it's essentially you're just measuring a move in the futures. So in stocks, ticks are in increments of pennies. If you look at the overall futures here, let's just maybe look at the NASDAQ very quickly. The NASDAQ and the ES trade in sort of different pips. You're going to see every like 10 here, and then the ES is going to go by like 2.5 every 2.5 points, right? So it goes 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and then the one is one handle. So overall, like one move. Essentially, like every tick is going to be a quarter, and then every full is going to be called a handle. Some people would say 1 point there, but I feel like that is percentages. But yeah, 4 ticks on the futures is going to be one handle, and that's all you're going from one handle to another. So if you're looking at the ES, if it's at 58.80 and you go down to like 58.50, then you go 30 handles. And then inside each of those, you have 4 ticks. That's all.
Exactly. So that's why we say like you have a 100 handle winner. That's pretty decent. Even just one contract, each handle on the NASDAQ is $10 on one contract. Okay, you can't handle those handles. We've got Allen Iverson handles over here. There it is, FXI. We are now out. So that's a hot dog gun right there for FXI. Congratulations, anybody that trailed that trade. And it's the number 2 trade idea on here. FXI $32 short. We'll cover it right there at the end and throw down the sticky note. Okay, as we go here, yeah, I haven't traded too many names today. We're just sort of in the newest name for me. Not really anything. I mean, the last trade, I guess. I mean, we got out of Tesla there. That seemed to be a pretty good one in order to enable to get out of that on Tesla FXI. We're able to get out of. We just did that at that bottom, so that would be another trade for us. I'm debating going long FXI just because of $31, but I don't know. Down 5%. I think you can probably get a little bit lower than that one at some point there for that FXI. Microsoft DraftKings, we can have a quick look at that. Is that at a 50-period moving average or something right now hitting on my scanner? Yeah, there must be the 200 period and just dropping back down below now. A little bit of a move there for DKNG. Now flat on the day, so relatively strong. Good to note for DraftKings with the market down 1.6%. DraftKings up, well, was up, now up, now was up, now still down. On the day, 0.03 right now. So very, very small downside play for DraftKings happening as we speak. So maybe there's something there, maybe there's not, but DraftKings right now relatively strong. A play back to VWAP wouldn't be too bad. There it is on the 50 period, on the 20-minute chart as well. I can't say I'd hate on that play. That is DraftKings. TQQ still making those moves lower. I don't know. I don't even know what to do. Let's just wait and let's just sit on this one and see what happens. Google's been sort of a sad face because we were trying to sort of protect in and around this 165. It goes as low as 79s there. We get stopped out at that level. And then, my bad, it goes as low as 65 or so, 61, 62. So a decent out compared to what it could have been. But now Google wants to go back higher. I don't think about going long anymore. We're only, well, it's 313. We will go long. But now the futures are pretty much at these lows. It has to be something special in order to go long, which is why I was on Google. Relatively strong name. Still flat on the day, Google. I still think there's a long here somewhere.
Yeah, the only stock, I mean, I went the shot over at
I might just try it.
Amazon, not AMD, because it was still green. It just held VWAP in here as the market's still going lower, obviously, but this is actually holding on to VWAP, wanted confirmation that it was going to bounce off, so it's still got an upward trend, and obviously you're going to take it here. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to look for a new low that it's going to make a higher low off of, which would be 186.5. Ideally in here. DJT is still rolling. Matt Marine, your CCL is on a roll today. You know, days like today, when when tech is going to the downside, yeah, like you can look for confirmation in some other places. Like travel has been pretty good. I don't own CCL. It was a break that everyone was looking at $19.50 on the daily chart. But that was just a day trade. You take that break that day. I didn't enter into a swing on CCL. It was just a long break that day through 19.5, and it's up another 6% today. So relative strength in the crude. I'm going to make an assumption that NCLH, which had similar breakouts, and RCL probably making some very similar moves here to CCL. But yeah, when tech is at play to the downside, sometimes you got to look a little bit elsewhere. That said, CCL reverse trend and has been trending back to the downside with the rest of the market. So while it's been strong, hasn't really gotten to VWAP for a VWAP bounce. I still like Amazon a little bit better in here than CCL, but CCL, morning range, top, support, that doesn't look that different from like a dip buy into a strong stock. I just like the trend that Amazon had been on since lunchtime. Like this one's trending down since lunch, whereas Amazon has been trending up pretty much since the morning. I'd rather take a shot at that, if that makes any sense. I know Amazon's down on the day, but it's been trending up since that that ASML early release.
Yeah, that was a problem for the market for sure. All right, so we're just going to give Google a shot until I'm not going to average into this one. I'm going to keep it really, really simple here. I'm going long until 164.50. So, I mean, I wrote down here before today that we wanted Google long in and around 165. So that's on the sticky note right here. So I was kind of just defending it again because of this level that had come in here, 165. I sort of forgot that we wrote down exactly 165. So I'm going to sit in this and give this one a little bit more room because I know I've done the work in the morning, and that's 164.60. I want to see if it breaks lower through that level. So I'm going to take as many shares appropriate now to see if we can get like a 50-cent winner here into the close on this name, or give some back and get hit there on this, because we already went long nicely there from the bottom to that, right? Then we just tried it. We had some good trades here at 165, but not that good, into 165.20s. Like that was the best we could get. Then we lost twice now trying to defend it again. Gave it a little bit more room of 20 cents, but that's clearly was not enough. So let's give it a little bit more room here into the close on Google. We're long right now at 99. It's irrelevant right now. All right, so DJT, wow, it is trying to fall back in. So again, good luck to anybody that was, or good look to anybody that was short in and around that 29 there. Now you're looking at 27 and lower than that, as it looks like DJT wants to even get lower as we go right now. The TQs is still that 100 handles in the money. We'll look for something else. What about Starbucks? Has it broken back down below 95? It's at 95 right now, and at the 200 period moving average or so. The 50 period moving average on the 20-minute chart. So that could be something down here at $95 as well if you're looking for some long. So yeah.
Nike is strong.
Nike, Starbucks. Yeah. See, I think some of these consumer names tend to be a little bit stronger right now for some reason as we cut rates. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Tech is just weaker today. I mean, I feel like that's the right play, is to continue to go short on some of these tech names.
Yeah, as you mentioned Starbucks, it's weird every time you mention Starbucks, I think Nike. Maybe it's the China risk thing, but it doesn't really matter. It's bull flagging right now and looking pretty solid. Obviously tomorrow, I mean, you look at this is about 82, 80, maybe even call it like 83 for a breakout. So clear line of resistance underneath, bull flag. The buyers are jumping in at $81 and taking us right back to that level. It looks like a breakout tomorrow through that 83 level. The other thing that's happening on Nike, which looks really good, is you don't need a trend line when it's just bouncing and holding the 50-period moving average. Look at it hug the 50-period moving average. So hug the 50-period and break away from it, to me, is a good-looking long trade. It's making higher lows since making that rounded, I guess, recent bottom on Nike. So I do like this one. Probably needs to break 83 tomorrow. I don't know if you'll get that today, but it's bouncing off of VWAP currently as we speak. Amazon's trying to go again. Shout out to Sebastian, good point. Nike strong off Adidas earnings. My family in England's like, oh, don't say Adidas. Adidas is how I'm supposed to say it.
Yeah, that's what I used to get in shit for calling it Adidas here on the show. I
only say that because my cousins always give me a hard time. They're like, you're supposed to say it the way it's meant to be said. Like, whatever. It's all the same to me. You're the one. I actually don't even. I haven't worn that since high school. I haven't worn Adidas since high school. We used to have our warm-up gear, like the tearaways for basketball. But you have some of that gear still.
Yeah, probably. It's funny. Like I was looking at, I have some shirts that are like 20. My wife's wearing my sweater from university when we were in residence. So yeah, she was wearing that. So I was like, you know, that sweater is like 20-something years old, and she's like, yep. Okay,
hey man, it's good.
Here we go. So I'm only in Google right now, trying to grab that long. We sort of talked about where we would load that one up again. We got out of FXI. FXI was a great flushy all day today, and that was a fantastic trade on FXI, taking $1. And now it looks like you want to break through 31. I just wanted to close it there at the end of the day. We've seen this name go on some runs, but that has nothing to do with why. It's just it was down there. It was down, bouncing around $31. I know. You know, an index, generally speaking, doesn't really care about even dollar prices because there's underlying assets. Like if Alibaba's tanking right now, then as would FXI. You know, like it would just go with those names. It doesn't necessarily say, oh, we have to stop at $31 or there's big size defending this level or anything like that, like it's being underwritten or anything. That's not the case. These are just tools that are put together, mashed into one, and then its price is spit out. So that's what FXI is all about. So we'll wait to see if there's doing anything on that one. What else do you guys want to do?
Yes,
is Apple gapping down tomorrow? So, like, I really, you know, gapping down, I mean, in order to gap something, you're going to need to have some sort of a story. We're building a lot of roses here today. So red roses, red roses. But again, Apple, very, very positive stock for me today. No losses at all. We did get hit earlier right there at 232.50, but then bought it right back up and was able to make $5 on those trades back. So no harm, no foul. As there goes Google right now, 15 cents in the money, trying to go back up to the upside. But yeah, I think Apple could gap down even further. I mean, you know, these names have 20% swings. Forget about August 5th. I mean, you can even just look, you know, back at some of these highs when we were at 195 and then we went down to 165. So we lost 30. That's 15% right there. And then even before August 5th, you know, we went from 235, basically, that is that day. But let's just say we just gapped down a little bit, down to 210. So that's losing another 12% or so, let alone what it was at that very bottom. Not, okay, now we're starting to go ham right here. Your boy is back in the building right now. Here goes Google. All right, give me that 19. Oh, yeah, let's go. So here we go, man. Again, another stock that we just talked about, going long Google. We wanted to find our way back into this one. We said we'd try to hold it out. So now let's wait to see what we could do on Google. That's 20 cents. Let's go on this one. We're out right now of 20% for 20 cents. So that's good. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher there on Google. I mean, realistically, we normally get these things out at the 50-period moving average, which would have just been there. So that was a nice top to get. You know, let's go higher. What about 50s on Google? But right now it doesn't look like it. What's up, Adara?
Some potential context here in news with regards to the DJT push lower. In case you missed it, this one now down about 12%, initially actually up on the day. And it initially gapped up. Seeing some reports here that apparently it failed to meet its early sales targets, this Trump coin. So we know Trump did announce that World Liberty Financial coin, apparently this missing early targets because the website was crashing semi-frequently throughout the day. This began, again, this coin initially began here, the World Liberty Finance coin initially be available for sale on Tuesday. Apparently, website crashing, and the coin has, as such, missed some of its sales targets. So DJT potentially moving down on the disappointment with Donald Trump's coin, guys.
Are crashing websites now? Oh, man. I mean, this guy now raising all this money. The guy's selling Bibles. The guy's doing everything. We'll figure out what happens right now with DJT. And again, the polls today is why we think a lot of that movement has been happening there. And that's another good story about the website. So we'll see what happens there. All right, we got out of half. So let's go. Sound the alarm right now. 470 handle winner. Out of half right there on the TQs. I mean, we really... I don't know if merked is the right word there, Fabian, but this one was merked down to the downside where we were able to snipe some fills down there at 72.35s, just really, really taking that out. Now we have half left of what we had, but we're still in a very, very small piece of this name. Now going to the downside, Google really retracing, but not much else happening there. Tesla on the lookout as well. Tesla was actually, I'll just click on it on my blotter because we traded Tesla positively today. Ooh. All right, so what a good out that is. And sometimes you save yourself even more than you can imagine by simply having the right outs. We got out at 220. That name drops all the way to 219. But look at that buy action there at 219. So again, I think that, like, I've already said this. I think Google is probably, I mean, hopefully I'm putting my money where my mouth is, but Google's the next one to go. I've been mentioning that ever since like that 160 marker there. They sort of ran up, and by they, I just mean big money and algos and people that are 100 times smarter than us. They ran up Meta to the upside there. And then it was Apple's turn. We did that. Nvidia did that yesterday. So now I just think Google, you know, one of the cheapest names there from a PE standpoint, its next move would be upside. But we still got to get above this 168, 170. And then it flies back up to 185, 190. Very, very similar to Amazon, which was the chosen one. And I still think is. Again, as
I
well.
think Amazon will get to, I feel like Amazon gets to the high before Google, but that's not
Amazon's
fair.
It's not that high.
It's not fair because Amazon's closer. It's
not even
cheating.
close. Yeah, Amazon could get to all-time highs tomorrow, back through $200. So this was one of the names that I was actually able to buy the dip on. So, you know, we bought more shares. We talked about, you know, family vacation time. I mean, we bought some more down here at 170. Watch this thing rip to 195. We're able to get some out. And that was more because of that vacation comment. I want to make sure we take something out. But no, it's still really holding on to Amazon. Still a very, very big piece of the portfolio there. Amazon and Google and all of these names. And then recently we just bought some XBI. We bought some SMR that I haven't checked out in a couple of days. I know we looked at it yesterday, but I don't know.
Oh, it was up again today.
Oh, it is?
Well, don't at me. I checked this morning. So, I mean, a lot has happened today, obviously. So,
1370.
Where is it?
You know, probably pretty flat, down 1%.
Okay.
It was up to 1440. I mean, it's been up here before.
Well, okay. The problem is, when I checked it in the pre-market, it was well over $14. So obviously at the open, it is what it is. But it's still up on.
Down on the day.
Yeah. Well, okay, down on the day, I guess now, but
that's okay.
Not at the lows. But so there was, just quickly, I mean, to see I'm out of intel. It did a bottoming tail candle on the biggest volume candle since it was at VWAP. This one here, which indicated a reversal. That time, this time it's right back into the lows. So Intel doesn't seem to care. It's going right back into the bottom. I feel like this is going to challenge its 50-period moving average before it gets there. $22 seems to me like a decent round number, but 3.5% down today when the market is a small fraction of that as we speak. And of course, the fun was later. Not early. Eventually, Funware decided to roll over. Not on the initial move, but now it's actually making the rollover. Not when I'm in. On the initial halt to the downside, maybe that was like too obvious, and it had to retest that $6. But yeah, the sympathy play does work out. I think it's frustrating, but if you have a reason for getting in, which is DJT is halting downside, this should fall apart in that halt downside. On the halt trade, it didn't actually work. It was after the fact that Funware decided to go low. I just wanted to make sure I showed that to you guys because it did end up going, just not at the time that I wanted or the trade that I necessarily wanted. So it gave about 10 to 15 cent move and then got out break even. Now you're flushing. And if DJT continues, this stock was $3 a week ago and got as high. I mean, that's crazy. But you could be at 480 and that's the 200. You could be at $4 and that would be a reasonable pullback into a level where there was a lot of consolidation. I could easily see this at $4 if DJT continues to go. And the good news is you don't have to pay for locates on this one. Funware is usually easy to borrow, which means it's easier to get into short positions when it's coming back in. I'm surprised we didn't have to pay for it given the fact that it almost tripled up recently.
Apple 233. So good couple outs there on Google, IWM, and bonds. We can look at the TLT here as yields go up, TLT should go down. So right here today, TLT up nicely, 1.3%. So we can have a quick look to see. I guess yields are probably going down today. So there goes TLT up 1.3%. And we've talked to a couple of traders. We had Andrew Rader on here. He thought that the TLT, but that was. I think it's well under when he was talking about it because it was last week. We've only now had 2 up days, but this is a nice one, covering up some of that play again in there. Let's see what IWM is if we're going to talk a little bit about rates now. 224 flat Okay. So this makes sense. All right. So there you go. So as rates come down, that makes sense. TLT goes up. So remember that one. And then, so if you think that there's going to be a longer yield there or something on that side of things, you might want to look at the TLT and then IWM as well. Very sensitive to that as the Russell 2000 looks to play the rate game, and that's up 0.5% today. So with the NASDAQ down 1.56, no surprise that the IWM maybe is back on the upside. So that's why you always want to diversify a little bit there and get into different things as well. All right, yeah, Bitcoin 66.8 right now, maybe moving the other way. I mean, we thought we would get through maybe 70,000 today. I think that will probably happen overnight.
On the weekend, I think.
On the weekend, oh, that's such a far ways away. Yeah, I would say, I mean, 66, 67. Today is Tuesday. Yeah, I think we have a 70,000 handle on that tomorrow. So let's wait to see what happens with Bitcoin, and let's go over to the desk with Miss A.
Just half an hour to go in this Tuesday session. We're going to take one last look at some of the larger percentage movers on the S&P 500, to the upside and the downside. This morning, we looked at some of the upside movers, specifically NYSE names moving higher. But this afternoon, I want to look at some specific stories sending certain sectors sharply to the downside in the S&P 500. So we have OXY up here, Occidental. A lot of these energy names quite a bit weaker, notably Occidental here down about 4%. We did have some reports that Israel is looking to target military sites in Iran as opposed to oil or nuclear sites. We had a couple of reports going back a few weeks now that initially pushed oil higher, suggesting Israel would be looking to target oil sites. So that report sending a lot of these oil names to the downside and consequently sending some of these travel names to the upside and lower oil prices. Next up, we have FCX. This is Freeport McMoran. We have some of these copper companies in general trading a little bit lower, with lower than expected export data coming out of China for the month of September. So some of these copper names trading lower as a group, as you know, represented there by FCX. Last but not least, we have AMAT. A lot of these semiconductors weaker, but specifically AMAT and LRCX, that's Lam Research, trading sharply lower, both down about 10%. We did have ASML issuing lower than expected guidance, so the company actually later said the results were, quote, erroneously published on their website due to a technical error. So a bit of a leak there with the ASML results, but also some chip weakness earlier in the day had to do with the fact that Bloomberg reported that the Biden administration is looking into curbing chip exports to countries like UAE and Saudi Arabia, though not a lot of details were discussed. So multiple catalysts sending chips to the downside, though ASML really sinking the ship here, guys.
Going to the downside on many different names coming through again here. All right, so we'll take a reload right now on Google, try to make that move right back down to the downside. We already got some out there in and around 20s, so that's going to be a level to look at there for Google. We were still trying to give this down a little bit into 164.50. Looks like with this drift right now on the futures, which we're still short, by the way. It's too bad we got out of, it's not too bad, but FXI is not really doing anything right now. But that was the last trade that we were sort of in and had to work around. But right now, Google is our latest sort of casualty here. As someone said, is Google stronger than Amazon? I mean, I just look at the numbers. Right now, Google's flat on the day. Whoops. Oh, Amazon, there it is.
That's so binary sometimes.
There it is, one more. Oh, BLNQ. All right. So for me, Amazon right now, yeah, I guess chart-wise definitely looks like it's stronger to the upside right there as Amazon right now. But at the same time, still down 0.23. I think, yeah, Google, I mean, Amazon's now above VWAP, above the 200 and above the 50.
Yeah, it's falling. So it's really
yeah, as opposed to Google right now. Come on, Google chart. Which is underneath everything. So I think there's more room to run if we're right on Google. But I think, yeah, trying to bottom pick things, maybe Amazon being above everything could be the better play for that. So that's it right there on Google. Again, we're bidding lower into the 80s to give this thing a little bit of a chance to run. And then we'll work on it from there. So the low print, you know what, I'm going to cancel that 80s bid and go a little bit lower, like maybe into, because remember, we're going to try to give this into 50s. So 164.50 here on Google. I still like the short though. Am I crazy? You shorted Nvidia and last pop thinking we are going to break 130. Am I crazy? Says Coffee Trader. Here we go in the chat. Well, you probably are crazy, first of all. Am I crazy?
Everyone's a little
You shorted Nvidia. I shorted it. And last pop thinking we are going to break 130. Hold on a second. J&J right now apparently responsible for some more cancer situations here. Yuck. For J&J.
Oh boy.
Is anything happening? I think I've recently sold out of most of my J&J right there, but yeah, a little bit of a downside move here. Responsible now for some sort of a cancer development, not development, some sort of a cancer in a patient. So I don't know. Again, just because you're guilty of something, you know, that they could have settled. I don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah, it's always like how much they got to pay relative to what was expected.
Right, and that's the thing. Like maybe it was just, maybe they just paid. I mean, I don't. Again, I don't know anything about it, but looks like it's starting to go to the downside. I'm gonna go short a little bit right there against it. So we'll take this short here. And again, it's never a good sign when a jury or a case is out against you. But I'm gonna go 164.25 or so as an out. And if it wants to work for us, maybe it will work for us to that upside. So yeah, sure, Fabian, we can do that whenever you are ready. So if you want to do it right now, I mean, I just want to thank eSignal again. And if you are, oh, we'll do it in a couple minutes. Okay. All right. So just real quick here on what we're doing. All right. So we have J&J short. We just got that story. So again, I don't know what exactly, but it was. And once I get it on the Benzinga platform, Dara's sitting there, so she'll get it for us in a second as well if she sees it. But right now, I heard they're responsible for a cancer situation there in Connecticut, was it?
Yeah, it's,
oh, there it is right here. I have it on Benzinga right now.
For a Connecticut man's cancer. So it's like a specific case.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not never good. The jury finds. So we'll wait to see there. There it is. J&J's talc powder, which we already know. They've already bankrupted various divisions of J&J. I feel like a lot of that news is probably in the stock already. But we'll just take it on a new piece and giving it a very, very small window there. That is J. Oops, hold on a second. I got to get that back. That is J&J. I want to make sure that we do have the news feed up as well. So, all right, I've been using, guys, I mean, we talk about this all the time. I've been using eSignal now for 22 years. I use it every single day. And honestly, I would feel naked without it. But again, a lot of you have that experience. For me, the best part about eSignal is the entitlements and the fact that you can grab any market, get trusted real-time data, and really fast, accurate data. You know, you don't have to wait for the charts to load or anything like that. If your PC can handle it, great mobile version as well. You can see right there, different time intervals as we go. Love it. Tick charts that you just saw there as well. So lots of opportunity there for you traders. If you are looking at eSignal, make sure you do scan that QR code right there. Yeah, if you're new, if you're new or you're experienced, I mean, it just gives you so many opportunities to scan, to code, and to do your work with eSignal. So make sure you scan that QR code today. I think I think there's a free trial going on. I don't know, scan it and figure out what exactly is going on. That is eSignal. Thank you, eSignal, for that. Okay, J&J. So this is my newest name. Obviously, we're in this. We did buy some dips on Google there. We didn't get that many shares. We got some 90. We were going to wait at 80. So 80 wouldn't have filled anyways. It got as low as 86. But now we're trying to bump a little bit higher. So, all right, the futures, by the way, maybe we just have to address this. This is continuously going lower right now. I'm going to put a bid at 73, see if we could take that. I mean, this is the lowest it's been right now. And for some reason, I'm not on the bid. So I'm on the bid now. I'm just going to, now it's getting ahead of me. All right, I'll punch them out at 29, whatever. We'll take a piece out there. Would have loved to get, I'm still bidding 23s. We'll see if we can get that fill right now. I have too many positions. It's 338, but we'll wait to see what winds up happening right now. Google long, J&J short, and then just scalping and getting out of the rest of these TQs, as I didn't even realize that we just made that move in. I can't believe we made that move in and Google actually held out. So we'll put about 10% or so of our position up for a dime in and around 165.10, and then we'll see about a move back into the 20s there for Google. Just make sure I have enough outs ready to go.
Yeah, good look there. I forgot about the early look imbalances. Sorry, guys. There's nothing of significance with the exception of maybe GM at 1.7. CM doesn't matter. TRP. BAC, I think, could make some sense because the banks are in play today for 1.3 to the sell side. So you have a few names over $1 million. I don't know that there's anything that I'm that interested in on the imbalance look at. We'll let you guys know. I would not suspect that DJT is going to have any kind of imbalance. Typically speaking, most of the names with imbalances or bigger imbalances tend to be held in indexes. So you'll get that kind of a play. So slap the L on Amazon. It's still making higher lows, but now we're all of a sudden losing the opening range top. And that's sort of, if you looked at 1020, it's not really the opening range top, but when ASML did all of that nonsense, it was right here that Amazon got to, and then it just lost that level. So I feel like I should have looked back and said, if that's a resistance spot, it needs to break out. And if it doesn't break out, wait for VWAP. I did not wait for VWAP twice, and both times it's not worked out. DJT is continuing to flush. It's at $25. So this one looking rather nasty. I look back over, and Fun just continuously makes lows. It hasn't broken low of the day yet, which it's about to now. But DJT's way through the low of the day. Like, you're at 25. So if we break this 530, which we just did now, I was about to put a stop. It got in there. There was a rebound into 29. Probably should have reloaded in front of that 6 level, but you just recently broke that bottom. So 2 plays. Either we retake that 26.10 and I'm out, or it holds above about 45, kind of the middle of this range here on Funware. But overall, the market is trying to make some kind of a hold of these lows. It's getting rather nasty overall. I mean, Tesla, just looking for things that are green on the day. All right, check that. Tesla is now 0.02 to the downside, but actually still green once it holds above about 219.16. So this is one that is relatively strong in some sense. It's nowhere near its lows when the market is at the lows. I would look for this for any potential bounce plays. Amazon, I still think needs to take 187.50. All kinds of resistance at that price level and worth watching. Dragos, did Trump say something? As you heard from Adara there, the potential that it was the coin that did not have enough demand there, or that the site went down so people weren't able to buy the new crypto token, I guess, that they came out with. That's one potential story. The fact the betting markets have been moving has been making it run around a little bit. But a lot of times it can also just become very technical. Like, once a bottom opens up on DJT, it just continues to flush. So I like the trend reversion. I like a mean reversion trade on a halt level. Like, it held the halt level. We tried the mean revert, but the second it lost the trend, jump out. If I actually did the regular reversion trade, which is actually going in the other direction, that's what we usually do here. Here's your short entry. So mean reversion, I was looking for the bounce long. Instead, it heads lower. It's trying to hold underneath 26. We've mentioned that in terms of key price levels, 25 is a big one, and then you wait for like 19, 20 bucks on DJT. I'm not saying it's going down there again. I'm just pointing out where the support has been on the charts. We are back into fun, and Amazon is close to a 187 half break. I was looking over Nike for potential long, but I just don't see it today. You know, Nike's not moving this afternoon. I like it on the daily hold in the 50 period. I like it at VWAP. I like its relative strength, but just not enough happening in Nike, I think, to try to put on a trade. There's no real reason for it to move as much as it's actually looking pretty solid here off of support. I think an 83 breakout tomorrow is a little bit more likely in Nike.
Looks like we did it here on Google, so let's go sirens up on that one. As here we go, Google. Here we go. All the way up. I mean, some good outs there into the 20s. I mean, this is exactly as we planned there for Google. All right, we got a nice little lemon tea here. So voice ready to go. All right. Like this, Fabian? How's that? Thank you, Fabian. All right, so I don't know. J&J is just doing its own damn thing right now. I might just get it. I'll bid some 89s there. We'll take a fill there as it gets through 89. And now we'll just wait to see if there's anything else happening. Come on down, Google. You are the next contestant on hopefully what stock's going to go up next. And we're long right now at 97. So we just did take 20 cents there. That was sort of going to be one of our targets. I wish we had gone a little bit longer, but I wish I was taller and a baller. But in this situation right now, Google makes that move into 165.15. So we did take that fill. And I'll take another one if it goes higher. I'm actually offering 14s right now on that one. J&J. Okay, well, I mean, maybe it falls back. I'm going to take another piece now. Just basically, there we go. Got out 82 there. So, I mean, I guess we took some hits there, but I mean, ultimately, it's a cup of coffee. We'll see where J&J goes. I mean, I didn't like the fact that that story is now out. And if there was anything about this talc and J&J and being responsible and the jury and this and that, and it was a major thing, which obviously it is, I'm not trying to pass light on any of that. It's just, I feel like the stock would have crashed and it didn't. So right now, and then we've seen that with Boeing and things like that. It's like you hear, you know, FAA to ground this and that. So you're like, oh my God, you know, we better short Boeing. And then you go over to the stock and it's either already made the move, so maybe you're in it too late. So that's one option. That was not the case in J&J. We went over there and it basically had only moved down 30 cents. So it didn't seem like it was that important. Or, you know, those that know. And maybe J&J's already dealt with this and potentially this is not a huge hit to
Could be
their
the expected
bottom
outcome.
line. So here it goes down in. I mean, maybe we'll make money on this at the end of the day, but definitely not the dramatic move that I was expecting. So with that being said, I'm going to bid some 60s right now and just play this like a normal stock. We'll favor the short because of the news, but at the end of the day, it really hasn't reacted. So that's what I'm doing on J&J. We'll bid something. Let's bid something like low 70s, and then we'll bid again in the maybe mid 60s, and see if we can get a little bit of a flavor here for J&J. At least make money on the trade, which we are now, and Google hopefully as well. So it'll be a good little close for us, as well as what's been happening in the futures.
And for those that are wondering about drug, it did make a fresh high, but by about 50 pennies, 70, maybe 70, 80 cents, and right back underneath. The 30 level is looking like a little bit of a resistance spot for drug. I'd suspect, and it's just a guess, sometimes when you have a big resistance level intraday, the break of that, or the breakout of that, tends to be in the aftermarket, because whomever is sitting there with the gusto to have a bunch of orders and take a bunch of shares and dump them at a price like that, they're probably not going to be there in the aftermarket, and sometimes any further, it's going to have to wait a little bit longer on drugs. So we'll see what happens. Amazon is not breaking 187.5, so that opening, it's not the opening range high, it's the ASML high. Looks like it's once again resistance, but it's about to make its shot. So it needs to break that 187.5, and balances are coming out in 3 minutes. Actually, that's way too close. Amazon could have an imbalance. I would not taking a breakout trade on Amazon at this time of day doesn't make any sense. Do it on the other half of 350 on the off chance that there is some kind of an imbalance on Amazon. So with only 3 minutes to go till we get the imbalances on any Mag 7 name, I don't want to enter into position within the last couple of minutes, as they're the more likely ones to have a couple million shares here or there. And it can be buy or sell. I have no idea. If it comes out of buy side, great. You could have punched long on a break, but if it comes out of sell and you just got into a long position, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. So I'll look for Amazon on the other side of 350 and that 187.5, which is trying to go through as we speak. So nothing early yet, but it is breaking that opening range at least for now. I had to look at Tesla to see if it could hold that bid. It was not. Last I checked, this was the other name that was trying to hold green, but it's still going sideways without actually breaking through this local high. So made a bit of a bottom, still going red to green, but no breakout past here, and I wouldn't take that one until the other side of 350 as well.
All right. What else you guys want to look at? We have JB Hunt reporting after hours. Today we had UNH reporting earlier. That was on our list of stocks to talk about when we came back to it. So let's just check out what UNH is doing. Yeah, man, you guys brought this to our attention at 2 o'clock, and since then it has been a nice downside move, 559, 552, going lower and lower and lower right now on UNH. So we'll have to see. That's 560 were those sort of tops there. Now it's starting to break lower here, UNH. I mean, the market's not doing anything, but there goes United Health now breaking finally through that VWAP. So if you were looking at a trade, congrats, man. I mean, that's been a nice one. Oh, wow. Talk about trading earnings plays. But that was down now. What was that, 555? That's almost down $10 right there in an hour for United Health. That name continues to bleed lower. Google's still trying to hold out hope for a bigger move. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that is the sound effect there for UNH for sure. J&J, good fill for us, man. We did get a fill there at 70, so that was good. But now it's kind of head back up to the upside, as we do have now a minute and a half until these imbalances come through, which maybe it's going to be good for Google. As there we go, man. We're offering one. We just got another fill up there at 18, I believe, or was it 17? It was 16s. And now it's at 20s. We're offering 21s. That's us sitting right there. Give us some love and print us at 21 right now. Come on, there it is. Yes, sir. So we'll take that one, spend a little bit of money right now for that trade. As we've been building into this, man. We talked about wanting to get long Google. We answered the questions. See, you're out of Amazon already. So Amazon versus Google, which one was relatively strong or weak? I chose Google, you chose Amazon. I hope we are both able to win. But there goes Google.
Nah, it was a loser.
Oh, it was.
Still, it's actually going higher now, but it was a loser because in the moment it went to the downside.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so did Google. We just had a little bit of a lower offer there for Google, so did not get stopped out or anything. But okay, here we go. Google, another piece out there into the 30s. And now, as Neil said, we only have 30 seconds until the imbalances. So pretty risky being in these. So let's just slap out a couple more upside right there. Nice little 35-cent winner there on Google.
Yeah, I'm anticipating because you can only be finger on the trigger one direction usually for the imbalances. So for me, that's going to be upside. If they come out as bids, Amazon, and I have Nvidia up in case I missed that. Just going to look for any kind of buy imbalances. Pretty much nothing over $1 million on the Nvidia 1.9, and then Amazon I don't even see. So Nvidia something, Amazon absolutely not there at all. Apple's 900,000 to the buy side. That's not. Yeah, so it's just Apple and Nvidia. Nvidia 1.8, but that's really not that big.
No, not at all. I mean,
no, that's not that big at all. Yeah, no, it's, you know what, I saw the bid on there. It's easy enough to be like, oh, it's a buy imbalance. Okay, had it geared up to punch long, kind of just punched long. I think I got out pretty much exactly flat. The initial move actually carried you to 131.50, but that's not a significant imbalance at all in Nvidia. Were it to grow, I think that would be a little bit more interesting, but still 2 million shares into 330 million. That it's just not a large chunk. And on top of that, like 13 million is paired. So the paired volume is a good 80-something% of the total interest there. So obviously it's not that significant. If it was 2 million and the paired volume was 2 million, then half of it would be unpaired, and that actually would be a little bit better over there on Nvidia. Amazon, like I said, absolutely nothing. At least I didn't see it on the imbalance locator, and it did make that breakout. Yeah, if it's not there at all, it didn't come out a sell, so that's pretty much good enough. And it is breaking out that 187.5. I'll see if I can slip in off that 187.5. It's just that ASML top that I wanted it to get through. And now that it's through, I think it can make a bit of a jaunt. The market is bouncing here, and it has been relatively strong to set upside. Charus, it was more of an option expiry week manipulation. Can you explain that to me? I'm not really sure what you mean by this. It was more of an option expiry week manipulation. What specifically?
Okay, yeah.
Just not really sure what you're
put it there in the chat right now. And I mean, let's just review what we've been doing this afternoon. Okay, so there's Google right now, 35 cents in the money. Good trade there. The TQQs, I mean, we'll go 2 for 2 here, honestly. I mean, this was a monster. I mean, we were shorting this one all while we were talking. This trade was at 2:03. We go live at 2 o'clock. These trades were at 2:25. We go live at 2 o'clock. So some big time 100 handle moves right there that we put on for you guys here. Then we sort of said, let's look at J&J on that news. Not much happening there. Actually will turn out to be a winner, but I don't know. We just got filled at 70 again. Hopefully it comes back in. But then and then other than that, we don't have anything else. FXI, I mean, let's go on that one. Bang on there. So that was obviously a good cover there on FXI. Not much happening, as that name can move on imbalances, but I don't see anything on that right now. And then we didn't do anything else. Nvidia we left alone. Apple we left alone. So if you're trading with me here this afternoon, oh boy, has it been a good one. And I'm going to say congratulations to all of you right there, because we are taking 40 cents in the money right now on that trade. So far, so good. I know Neil's been back and forth there on DJT. He's got fun. And again, just to show you guys the difference, about double the amount of symbols Neil traded than I've traded today. I've only traded 6 names right now today, and it's been pretty good right now. Oh, DJT, one last look here. I don't know if there were imbalances at all on DJT today, but good fall off this afternoon, as apparently Adara brought us the story of them maybe having some problems with some of their coin, that release there and whatnot for DJT. Let's get some more out on Google right here, as it is now 50 cents in the money and going higher right there. Again, these are those instincts, right? Day trading is really, it's probably 90% art, 10% science, if it's that high science, my opinion. And as you can see right now, you need instincts, and you need to be able to have some of that. Like, look what's happening right now. Now 50, 60 cents in, as it's continuously going higher right there again. So you know, just be able to pick out the right names and go for it, right? And have your levels and then just be able to stick with them. And sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. But in this time, it does with Google, 50 cents in the money right now. So far, so good. Shout out to For Profit there that says Sticky Note Nation and Eerie Pages. Everybody that's an instinctual trader like that, you need to have that because, man, if it was more science, we would actually have many more traders in this game, right? And there isn't. So, all right, 165.50. Here we go, man. J&J trying to make some moves as well. We'll see if there's any flip ups now at 355.
Yeah, I'll look at the imbalances. So thank you for clarifying what you meant there, Shahruz. We'll get to that in a quick little second. But as the imbalances are about to usually pair off, Nvidia's $2 million to the buy. That's the only one that was big. Amazon ended up being a sell imbalance, so it's a good thing we didn't go long, although it did go higher. It is what it is, but that wasn't the plan. Nvidia just paired off, so you no longer see it. If it's there, it's a lot smaller. Amazon also paired off, it looks like. So Amazon, 600,000 from what was $1 million to the sell side. But just because imbalances come out sell side, I mean, Amazon, small sell that grew, and it ended up sustaining that breakout. But at 355, it kind of confirmed still a sell imbalance. Now you're getting a bit of a curl. And just to clarify that comment from Shahruz, it was market makers try to take longs and shorts both to make sure institutions don't pay premium to options buyers. The move is not real, basically an unreal move. So that was more of a comment, I think, than a question. Matt C, you want levels on Oxy. Right before we get into that, I wanted to go back over to that Nike, which I don't love the fact that it did absolutely nothing. I'm actually off tomorrow, so when I said Nike breakout at 83, if it happens tomorrow, I'm not making the trade. I have a couple of docs appointments tomorrow, so Obi's going to be filling in for me. But I like the 50-period hold.
That's not even in the calendar, bro.
What?
Not even in the calendar, bro. Don't have you listed in there.
I put it in.
Okay.
All right, Obi's good.
Yeah, as long as Obi's good. Yeah,
Obi's good. So Nike through 83, we definitely like, but I might not be here to take it. But it's a good consolidation off the 50-period moving average. So I think it could hold at least a little bit of a beat. It doesn't have to break tomorrow, but it's a strong trend to the upside. Up 1% into a down market, which I think is a good sign as well here for Nike. Bit of a bull flag. There's your higher low 81s. I think taking out this top in here looks pretty solid for Nike. Got to get there first, obviously. Nothing really doing. All right, DJT just broke. All right, whatever. It's only 5 pennies, but DJT just broke up, so I'm going to punch out of fun where DJT just broke back through 27 even. I'm going to get 35s out because DJT just did this to the upside from $25 to $27 in the last few minutes here. So it's catching a bit of a bid, obviously. So fun where I'm just going to jump out as it looks like DJT's headed right back into the upside. Big move there.
All right. All right. So just quickly here, J&J does make that move up, but look, we got a stop out there. Well, we didn't. We got an out there, not a stop out. Google, nice move to the high side as well. Right now, let's just exit this. I mean, we don't have any reason to stay in anything right there. That's a banger right there on Google. Let's just punch out of J&J. It'll be a cup of coffee. We will wind up down. Oops, that's Google. My bad. We got out of Google there at whatever that price was, 27s or so. And then I was on the wrong stock. I want to make sure at least that I show you guys all of the outs that I have. I mean, I'm going to flip back and forth sometimes. Okay, cancel my bids as those are not there either. So we'll wait to see right now for J&J. Nice move down and a nice move back up. So again, on that talc, that'll be a cup of coffee. So biggest winner today, we'll just review a little bit here. Apple, nice move. Actually, let's just check out what's going on. FXI, that's $1. I mean, that one goes into the dollar club right now. Nvidia was okay. TQs, we talked about that. Tesla, kind of boring the rest of the day as well. So that's something to look at right there. Google upside, so that's good. Nvidia, FXI, Apple. I mean, not much else that I can look at right here into the close. The TQs, we did get out of that. Let's see where the futures are landing at the end of the day. Nice upside move back on for the TQQs right there. So we'll give you a pass on not being in the calendar, Neil. With only 1 minute now to go in the TQQs. It's Obi. We're excited for that. I came in today. My daughter ran track, but I already took a day off last week.
Track and field?
For track and field there because she had qualified. So we'll see if she makes cities.
Cross country?
Cross country,
Okay,
yeah. I don't know if she will qualify for that. She does track and field as well, but that's not until the spring. All right, so now here comes Google. Good outs. I hope you guys are still holding that with only a minute to go. Thank you, Racer Roxine there for the great trading comment. We try to do it every single day for you. With only 30 seconds left, let's go over and figure out what's going on with Neil. I will check you tomorrow. All right, good luck with the appointments there tomorrow, and it will be my honor to trade with Obi.
I haven't wanted to say it, but I think there's a really good possibility. If he doesn't say otherwise, I'm going to start trying to drive again. My walking has gotten very, very good. I'm not even using the boot anymore, so I feel like good things. I don't want to take it too fast, but I'll listen to him. Adara, you wore the red today. The market was red, but ring it in 2 and 1. Let's go. The Adara indicator, and all we're talking about is the last time Adara has worn the all red. It's not just that there's been down days, it's been some kind of a significant down day in the market. Like we're talking, I know the NASDAQ's 1.3%, so you're past that 1% mark, the NASDAQ and the ES 0.7. But really, when you look at the bigger names out there, like Nvidia, 4.5 to the downside. I mean, quote board's going to be so much better for this. Just the stocks that I track, like what's up today on my quote board? CCL, Bitcoin, Boeing. But if you look at what's down, ARM, Nvidia, AMD, Faraday probably always down, Firm, Broadcom, all the chip names weak, Chinese names weak, Palantir down 2.5%, Uber down 2%, Eli Lilly, which is a strong stock, down as well, a couple of points. So overall, I mean, I didn't even look at Netflix down 1 point as well. So overall, it was a pretty significant down day. That said, when you just make fresh highs on just about anything, this can happen. And the reality is you had Nvidia make a fresh high yesterday, or at least adjacent to a fresh high. You had Apple make one today. The Qs were trying to make a nice little breakout to get to its high and a bit of a rejection of that. So pullbacks and an uptrend, they happen all the time. I want to give a shout out to Fabian. I'm still on the ones and the twos by his lonesome. Andre working hard, getting some new videos out. We'll have some for tomorrow. We both shot some today, myself and Sean, so look out for those. Big shout out to Joseph. And we say it with emphasis because it's all caps, so we have to in his profile. Joseph and Sharif on the ones and twos in the midday, doing a great job as always. Shout out to Big Brendo as well. And of course, Adara on the news desk, settling right in, doing a fantastic job. I'm going to give a shout out to Obi, who's going to be filling in for me tomorrow. But hey, it ain't over yet because all you got to do is sit back, relax, take it from here to there. It's your market recap. How's about nowish?
We have UAL out right now. Welcome to the Market Recap Show, everybody. I am Sean Katina at Trader TV. Sean. All right, United Airlines is now out. Thank you, Neil, for that throw. We'll have to figure out what's going on. Pretty flat right now. Let's flip over into the 3-minute chart, so up and down. Let me fix this to a 1 minute and get a good idea of what's going on with UAL. Here it is right now on our Benzinga Pro platform. UAL, whoa. All right, there it is, Raider. UAL, 333 beats 313. Estimate on sales also beating. So double green arrows to the upside and a 1.5 billion dollar share buyback right there coming for UAL. So that is nice. We do have UAL tonight. I believe we have JB Hunt. Looks like Upwork is now out. Not a big stock there. But there's UAL right now. Kind of just saying whatever to this report. But on the daily chart, we've talked about some of these. I have some tea. You can hit Hydration Nation if you want. I mean, it's tea there. So main ingredient, water. All right, nice move up there for UAL. As you can see here on the daily, it's been really marching higher. And again, oil prices, right? I mean, they're getting lower and lower every single day. It seems like oil today down 4%, actually. There's USO right here. Nice push back in. I don't know why that candle's green, but a nice push back in there for oil. Actually gapping down today for USO. So that's something to be considering right there. Let me just zoom this out and see what is green today. XLRE. That is the real estate ETF right now making that move upside. We talked about rates today going a little lower, so that helps TLT go higher. That helps real estate go higher as well. So that makes a little bit of sense. GDX, of course, there's your TLT right now. Nice move back in there on TLT. We're going to have Brian Shannon coming through today, so we could talk TLT with him and yield. There was a couple names that he was involved in the yield space. I don't know why wheat is so exciting right here, but there's wheat. I didn't even notice that we had these logos on there right now, so that's pretty nice. Thank you to Trade Ideas for putting some of that up there here today. All right, what were some of the notes that we should be going over today? All right, big weakness today led by, of course, the semis, right? So SMH downside. These are semiconductors, as we said. So downside push right now on the semiconductors. So now down that 5.5% as we look to go lower right now on SMH. I mean, a lot of that head by Nvidia, but we did get that surprise move today where ASML, knock, knock, their report comes out a little ahead of time, and the market did not like that as they were a little light on forward bookings. When you're light on that, what does that mean? Well, that should affect the chip names, because if ASML, who's making all these things, if they're starting to go to the downside based on bookings, then maybe there's a little less demand from some of these chip makers for their machinery. So ASML, nice downside move, of course. And this is a registry. So this is held, I believe, in the Amsterdam exchange as AML reports an earnings miss. Although it was in line, but not higher, the guide as expected there for ASML. Erroneously published in the middle of the day. Thank you for that. AMD continues down another 5%. Look, I think there's going to be a time when you want to buy some AMD. I don't know if that time is now. Nvidia is where I would go shopping. That is for sure. Major banks today. What's up with major banks? Oh boy, was the Spider ETF on XLF was really cruising here today until we had that pullback, right? I mean, the whole market basically fell down. XLF taking out all-time highs today. Stocks like Citigroup on their report, down 5%. What started a good day turns out to be a nasty one for Citigroup. We also had Goldman Sachs again. Started to be a good day, down for GS. I'm actually going to go into a 3-minute chart right now, but JBHT, JB Hunt right now. So if you're going to talk about the transports, are they strong? Are they weak? Sometimes a lot of us, we talk about Dow theory, transport theory. A lot of us will think that the transports will tell us what exactly is going on with the market. Well, you can see right now, JB Hunt right now with a nice move upside. Let's consult our Benzinga Pro platform here to see if I see any news on JBHT, which I do not yet, but I am hearing in my ear that it is out. I will get, Pinterest to announce 2024 results, not today, but there it is right there, an announcement, I guess, on date for Pinterest. So I don't see JB Hunt yet. So when that comes out, I will get that to you. Nothing else right now. Longeveron, Life Vantage right there. No major name. There's JB Hunt. Wow, just as we expected it to come through a couple seconds ago, it's here now. So there's JB Hunt. 149 versus 147. That's a beat. So we go bang on that one. A beat on the EPS and a beat on sales. 3 billion. 3.07 billion. Let's not forget those 07s in there. That's just a couple 100 million shares. That would be 70 million versus 3.02 billion. So a nice beat for JB Hunt. Let's have a quick look at what's been happening on the daily chart. Wow, there we go. Nice move there for JB Hunt. And again, a implied move on this in the options area, 5.3%. 4.29% right now. Let's have a quick look on the daily for this transport and see exactly where we're going. All right, look at that, man. Right up to the 200 period. Again, good stocks need to be bought at the 200, not under the 200. And again, Brian Shannon coming on momentarily. He told us never buy stocks that are in the penalty box. Wait till they get out of the penalty box. And right now, for me, the 200 period is exactly that. JB Hunt still all the way to the downside. Hey, we talked about it with Neil as well. DJT, what is that doing here in the after hours? Generally, you'll get after hour movement on some of these names. Doing nothing right now. So DJT, $28 to the downside. Now 27 and change for DJT. I mean, what an explosive day for this name. Again, apparently the polls now. You saw Bitcoin move up to 68,000. We can check out what Bitcoin's doing in a minute as well. Bitcoin and Trump sort of tied right now. I mean, Donald Trump went to the cryptocurrency convention in Miami. He's talked well about that space as well. But I thought Kamala was recently talking pretty good about digitization as well. So both Kamala and Donald Trump, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, both talking digital currencies, sending Bitcoin to the high side. But DJT right now not doing too much. And again, it's poll time, right? I mean, I don't know. We're up here in Canada. We don't even really poll, to be honest with you. Our elections are like maybe 2 months long, like they get announced. And we're in the midst of, right now, our current Prime Minister keeps fighting off battles there, calling for him to step down and then re-challenge that position. Again, calling for another election, but they keep on winning, the Liberals here in this country. Conservatives coming on strong here as well. All right, so there's IBIT right now on the daily. IBIT winds up near the high of the day, so that's going to be a good trade. I'm actually going to go into 3-minute chart right now just to see. Yeah, so again, when I talk about the high of the day, I mean, it's not at the exact high of the day, but well off those bottoms, closing at 38.20. So I should watch what I'm saying there. About 30 cents away from the high. IBIT and Bitcoin, well traded. Nicely done there on BTC. Okay, other than that, man, I mean, Google still continues to battle the DOJ. And today, apparently, they also battle. Well, how come every story is involving Donald Trump? But he came out today, midday. Adair sort of brought this story to us, helped Google go to the downside. When he was asked about the DOJ investigation, he commented that Google hasn't been nice to him. I don't really know what exactly that means, but I'm thinking that he's talking about some of the actions from past elections where different Google searches and whatnot, and especially when you're talking about, I think Donald Trump maybe is talking about AI in general. I mean, some of those stories that were put out, again, I think it was called Concordia or something, the Meta platform, Cambria or something like that, that came out. They investigated all that Russian hacks and all this kind of stuff. So he's probably talking about that, but I'm not trying to put words in people's mouths. But that did come out there, and it's noted here about the DOJ investigation and that Donald Trump sort of would lean on that as well. Energy sector, man, sharply underperform its peers as oil continues to fall down on demand concerns, which is kind of strange. I mean, generally speaking, when we're going into a recessionary spot, and we could talk about, what do you want to talk about? OIH, the oil holders right here to the downside as well. This is oil services. We have XLE as well, all down 3 or 4%. And I guess when you talk about recession and recessionary, that's generally speaking when oil comes down because of those demand concerns. But maybe China's stimulus is part of this story as well. Because again, if China's stimulus can't boost that economy, I mean, are they producing at the levels that we're expecting from a GDP standpoint? Therefore, maybe affecting the price of energy worldwide. OIH downside, and then there's USO as well, making that move down. All right, copper. It's funny because we just had Michael Noss on yesterday, Monday, and he liked copper. Well, if you liked it yesterday, maybe you like it a little bit more today, down that 2%. And again, not to throw shade at copper. I mean, it's still upside right now. We'll see if we can hold out this 50 period in and around 43. Adara was talking about Freeport-McMoRan. That's another name there today, FCX, that I believe was dancing around a little bit. FCX pulling back. It actually looks a lot like Dr. Copper there, so we'll continue to watch out for that. The KRE today hot. Wow, I was throwing shade at Berkshire earlier. My throat is just a little bit. I just want to make sure we can still. How's it going over there? Pink Floyd. Great shirt, man. Great job there. It's funny how all the young guys have all these, old retro shirts, I think, are back in, right? Rock shirts. You like the Beastie Boys? Yeah, okay. Babe, you can't see Fabian. He's setting up the interview. The Beatles. All right. It's been a hard day's night, that's for sure. And we've been working like a dog every day. Speaking about working like a dog, Brendan's over there working like a dog. Here comes Adara, always working. We are still here today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be excited to see if Neil can start driving again. That was a good update from him coming through. We wish him the best of luck at his appointment tomorrow where he finds out. So again, it'll be me and Obi. Hey, tomorrow might be a good opportunity for me and Adara to be together on the main show, but that would be wild. All right, so 462 coming through right now for that. Adara was talking earlier about fearing going back to Winnipeg, but I see you kind of have like a toucan right now. I believe it's not that bad right here. Have you checked out what the weather's been like? You have, 11 degrees though.
Oh.
Frostbite, yeah. Okay, Sean has a beautiful singing voice. I appreciate that. Please let my kids know that, as every time I start singing, the music seems to go louder. Why is that? All right, so just quickly here going on. All right, so I'm not seeing too much else in the Benzinga Pro platform. Oh, that's what it was. There was another report coming out, and it was IBKR. That's what I was looking for. So where is IBKR here today? Let me just see if I can filter by stock and get that IBKR report, just in case it is out. There it is. It actually came out at 404, so my bad on that one. There is IBKR, adjusted EPS. The first miss that we've seen on the board in a minute here. 175 versus 182 with inline sales there. So they are trading lower. That's the news we have on IBKR. Let's get rid of that and go back to genomics. Oh, TXG. That was another name there that we had talked about with Brian Shannon. How funny that is. All right, IBKR. Let's have a quick look. Okay. Wow. Did anybody know this? I mean, we were talking about Charles Schwab earlier on as well. Look at Interactive Brokers continuously moving higher on this one as well. IBKR coming back up. So nice move right there. 152 coming in, 146. Fabian, if there's any issues, Brendan's over there too. Don't send me any links right now. I don't know what I can do. We are having a problem connecting Brian Shannon right now, but when we do get a chance, Fabian's running around here, so we appreciate that. Thank you, Fabian. One more story to talk about quickly. We did have China problems today. So again, China a little bit lower right now as FXI has seen better days. And again, we had talked about this with many people on our show. What exactly were the catalysts for China? We talked about new stimulus, right? Apparently that stimulus is a little less than expected. All of that gets announced on China when the market was down. They were not open last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? All of a sudden, market opens back up, and China's had a couple negative days now to the downside in Asia. So FXI continues to bleed. And this was a great trade for us. Unfortunately, I don't have my Twitter open, but on the sticky note, we did have FXI short today at 32. And boy, oh boy, was that a trade. We had the high of the day short on FXI today. We also had it short yesterday, and I believe we will have it short tomorrow. But hey, if the news comes positive and maybe more stimulus, or we just see a reaction there, I actually like this hoodie. This is actually a pretty nice hoodie. Right here. Oh, this is that Adidas. This is like a new, I forget what it's, anyways, I'll get it to you. It's made by one of the, environmental stuff. Their environmental cotton. IBKR dropped 4%. Okay, let's have a quick look at that because I actually did not look at a 3-minute chart for IBKR. I was just so impressed with this daily chart there on IBKR. Wow, what a move off of that. And look, man, if you didn't sell something up here, now maybe is your chance. Do not let this name fall back in. Interactive Brokers, let's go over this real quick. Interactive Brokers, 133. We actually got that note down here at 404. Interactive Brokers reports IBKR. And again, we've seen a good number from Schwab. IBKR right there, 175 misses the 182. So just to speak to Brian right now, Brian, we are working on getting this connected. Hopefully we get you. If not, we'll do our best to have you on maybe tomorrow at some point if you can get that done as well. So I apologize for some technical glitches right now, but we still look to have Brian on very, very soon. All right, let's take a quick look at what stocks we're moving around today. So here we go. The stock heat map now. As we just talked a little bit about some indexes moving, let's go find out right now about what names we're moving. A lot of these names should not be a surprise to anybody. There we go. Nvidia down 4.5% today. Apple up 1.1%. So that's real nice for sure. Broadcom, AMD, Texas Instruments, Qualcomm, they're all down. Lockheed Martin down as well there today. Google up. I like that. Google on a day where the NASDAQ down 1.4%. I actually didn't see where it ended. That makes a nice move. It makes me happy that Google's up today. Meta down 0.7. Okay, we'll take it. Some of the banking names. There's the green sector. Look at finance. Look at retail today. Walmart up 1.7%. And again, I feel like rates moving down today created some opportunities in the retail space, probably created some opportunities in TAN and names like that, as we'll look to see what FSLR was doing today, and some of those interest rate sensitive spaces. Okay, Netflix, they're coming out with their report, I believe, Thursday, as that comes down to the downside today. Netflix, as I just saw, down that 1%. Salesforce also down. What's up with Eli Lilly? 9.13, not much. Eli Lilly, still a great stock, but down today, Eli Lilly. Caterpillar, GE, the industrials, manufacturing, all red today to the downside. Deere down 1.4%. What's up with that? Disney down, McDonald's up. UNH, not a great report from United Health today either, to give us some rough ideas. Here's UNH today. I believe this name needs to be bought. We talked about a banger of a new position. Whatever, it's a couple. We don't talk about monetary size or anything on this one, but we're into this. I'm just joking about this banger position, but we just didn't take it yesterday. It's X. Who wants to bang? Brian Shannon does? All right, there we go. We took XBI yesterday. I believe we probably talked about this with Brian. I know he likes some of the biotech names as well. We've talked about some of those with him. I took XBI for a starter position yesterday. And the reason why we did that, who cares? It's up 0.2%. It's up nothing. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, breaking through the 50 period, I kind of like the fact that we didn't get down to the 200. I would be buying more if we did get down here. This, for me, is going to be a longer-term trade. I think biotechs continue to work. Lower rates, good for biotech. Innovation, good for biotech, right? I think that's happening, and innovation comes with AI. So I feel like this is a decent play as well. I dare not drop an anchor on this when I have Brian Shannon waiting. Why would I ever do that? All right, let's go. We are ready to rock and roll. I apologize for a little bit of a late movement on this, but it's better late than never. It's Trader Talk. Let's go. Sorry about that, Brian. It was all Fabian's fault. Glad to have you on right now. Brian, looking sharp, man. I like that little golf shirt there. I went out golfing this past weekend. It was gorgeous. It was about like 65 or so, maybe. Nice. Yeah, so it was a really, really nice day to go out there and hit the links. Are you a golfer by any chance?
I have played exactly 9 holes this year, and they were last Wednesday.
Ooh, and results?
And I hit a couple good shots.
Nice. I like that. I like that. So basically not a golfer, but you don't mind going out. I like that. I like that. Okay, Brian, a little bit of a disappointing day, I would think. I mean, the NASDAQ did wind up falling today, but it depends which side you're on, long or short. The semis, me and you always talk about that with Nvidia and AMD. Today we get that surprise report out of nowhere with ASML. That sent the market to the downside. Were you involved with anything today? Anything specifically catch your eye?
Well, Nvidia, I've had Alpha Trend subscribers in that, and we got stopped out of it today. I sold mine a little bit earlier last week, but I've been day trading it. So it's been a great trade, but Nvidia got stopped out today, and that was a good 5.5% move after selling it in 3 little pieces. And when they move like that, you got to get out. So the stops were right here at this arrow, and then right here on the balance. I was trying to give a wider stop on part of it to see if it could maybe not get hit that hard, but that's what stops are for, to lock in those gains.
So do you, similar to me, I guess, and I think this is pretty much like most traders, I don't sit there and watch a stock like a hawk all the time. I'll put my stop order in, set it, and what I like to say is set it and forget it. And then if it triggers, obviously we get that notification that is triggered. And I'm like, okay, we got stopped on, got stopped out. And I don't even have any emotions about that. I kind of just move on. How do you feel when your stop triggers get hit?
I feel the same exact way. I mean, I'm relieved. I love it when my stops get hit. It means that, part of the process is taking care of itself. And, that was the plan. So when a stop gets hit, that means that you're doing the right thing. So stops are your friend. People question the stops. They pull their stops right before they get executed and say, well, I don't want to sell it there. Then they ended up puking it out on a bar like this. So stops are, we have trade with stops for a reason, Sean, and you know that as well as anyone. But a lot of people have a hard time accepting it.
Yeah, we actually had a good example of that yesterday where we, FXI in the middle, I bet it was about 9:45. We had some of that China stimulus got talked about a little bit on a report, got stopped out, let it run up about 50 cents, then reevaluated, reshorted, and was able to make it all back in spades and have one of our best trades. All right, what I want to talk to you about quickly here as well is I'm trying to find a chart for Bitcoin right now because my Bitcoin chart was at Ethereum right there. But here we go. We'll call it up right now. Bitcoin, quite an exciting day today. Again, touching in and around that 68,000 marker. We can talk. I have IBIT up here. Unfortunately, the Trade Ideas doesn't have Bitcoin, but pretty nice day there. We've sort of talked about it. You and I joked last day. I said, hey, hold something for that 100K mark. I'm actually being serious. I think we could get to some levels like that. I'm really excited for us to break through that 73,000. I know you sold a little bit last week and we're holding on to the rest. Did you see anything today in Bitcoin that might have gotten you out or gotten you more bullish or anything like that as we look to maybe build a bigger position on BTC?
Yeah, last week I had gotten stopped out of some down as it undercut that 60,000 level. To me, that was key because we were undercutting these VWAPs. And then on Friday, we rallied very quickly and I was looking for a pullback. And in my Friday video that I put out on YouTube, I said, if it gets back up above this level, I'm going to get aggressive. And Monday night, or Sunday night rather, that's exactly what I did, is I went all in basically in my crypto account, 100% of my crypto account long Bitcoin right here at this point, and I have not sold any yet. I'm looking for a much bigger move. I will consider maybe taking a little bit off if it undercuts this level, just because I'm basically, not basically, because I am all in on this. So to me, it's on its way. It's held,
right.
It's back above the 200-day moving average. It's held all these key VWAPs. It's got a rising 5-day moving average. I don't see why this thing shouldn't be able to continue to move higher. But again, I will lighten up if it undercuts probably 64.5 or so.
Okay, yeah, we definitely had a few other technicians looking at Bitcoin as of late as well. I saw a tweet, unfortunately, I'm not logged into Twitter. Normally I show your tweets on here as well. But IWM, I mean, today, again, when we're talking about some of the rates, and I do want to look at maybe TLT, if you have any opinions on that. I know you were holding some rate-sensitive REITs and things like that as we see the rates move around a little bit here today. So NASDAQ down 1.34%. But look what happened to IWM. I mean, I have it up right now. I mean, we've been looking for a breakout on this name for a very, very long time. I feel like we actually got one down here at 210 when that actually happened back in July. But then we failed, but we bounced back off the 200. Now we seem to be holding this 210 area and actually looking a little bit higher right now on IWM. So I have noted here that it's been underperforming, and this is from you, the Qs, the SMH, and the SPY, but that might all change right now as it seems like it wants to hold, and maybe today, the fact that this is up and the rest are down, maybe we're going to see some more money flow into IWM. Any opinions on that?
IWM is tricky. I mean, all year, or at least the last several months, we've had, this is the fourth upward thrust that we've seen right here that we're involved in right now. The last three, what happened? 1, 2, 3, they all failed miserably. So I'm looking at this and saying it just broke that high. It's extended a little bit from 215 to 225. So I'm not chasing. I don't own it. This is what I'm looking for, Sean. If this can pull back here in the next couple days, down towards 220, 221, then I want to be a buyer on strength. I want to see that 5-day moving average come up under it and cradle it. Buy strength after a pullback. Here, hopefully this begins a pullback, and then manage my risk with a stop, probably under whatever a new higher low ends up being. But the weekly chart is what continually keeps us interested in this, and more so for the XBI. But this is really, it's just grinding higher. It takes these longer periods of times where it's stuck in these ranges. And then, I think the problem is we're working through all this prior supply up in here still. I like it, but I'm not going to chase it. If I miss the move, I really don't care because I trade a lot of, stocks that are involved in the Russell 2000. So I don't need to own it, but I'd like to if it's set up in a low risk way.
All right, yeah. I mean, I think that's, again, we talk about it all the time, being risk managers. I mean, I think that's the best part about what we do here is have that opportunity to hit those stop orders, look for stocks that have a better risk to reward ratio, and then just step into them and hope and pray. No, we try to do the work for you here. And thank you, Brian, for doing all of that. And again, guys, if you guys want to find out anything about Brian, make sure you go to @AlphaTrends. And also that subscription. How's that going right now on X as well? I know you just launched that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I like the ability to share a little bit extra with people, to hold hands a little bit more, walking through trades and that sort of thing, and provide a lot more education. Speaking of that, Sean, last week we mentioned that tomorrow I'll be doing that presentation at 11 Eastern.
Perfect.
And there's a link for that on my Twitter. So if you scroll down one or two on Twitter @AlphaTrends,
Perfect.
It's a free seminar about the anchored VWAP and market structure at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow.
And I'm sure there might be some links also to your book, Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. So definitely go and check that out. I mentioned that I try to be there as well. So I'm going to do that tomorrow if I can. I've been going to the gym in the middle of the day, by the way, now. So we'll try to check that out and see what's going on with that tomorrow. All right, TLT. I mean, me and you talked about that a little bit before. I know you have an anchored VWAP that you're looking at for that. But again, a name that can get volatile, especially when we're talking about rate-sensitive environment, which I feel like we're in now. Plus, you have some worries in China. We can go on and on about energy prices and what's going on with gold and what that might mean to bond yields and longer-term looks at all of that, the inversion and all of this stuff happening. But at the end of the day, we can look at TLT and say, hey, this is an instrument that we can trade. You were looking at something from the October 23rd bottoms. I thought you had made a post maybe about anchored VWAP. Why don't we talk a little bit about what you're thinking now about rates and maybe a potential trade here on the treasuries?
Okay, so the October 23, we can see here on the daily chart when I scrunch it up, that was a major low, coming off of, since the 2020 highs. So that was a major low, and we finally came down and tested it and held that yesterday after undercutting the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, the year-to-date anchor. So, this market has been in free fall since it touched the anchor off of the high here in October of 2021. So that, by the way, was the day that the Fed cut rates. So from the day the Fed cut rates, rates have been soaring. And now they look like they've come down to a level. I'm not going to trade these. I was pointing it more out for an academic purposes. If it pulls back to the 5-day moving average and starts to rally, I think you can get involved. The problem with this, Sean, is that, you can see it, especially on this 30-minute time frame, that every day we have gaps. And that's because, they trade, I don't know what the trading hours are for bonds, but they trade during the middle of the night, and we get these big gaps almost every single day. So about 27% of the daily range is gobbled up by gaps. Makes it difficult to trade in terms of managing risk. You still have decent intraday ranges for day trades. So, but as far as holding overnight, you might get the gap down to 94 tomorrow, and it wouldn't surprise me. And I can't swing trade with that type of uncertainty in terms of how much risk we have with the gap. So I think they're likely to find buyers in here and continue to move higher in the next few weeks and that sort of thing. So it might just start providing a better interest rate environment for equities.
All right, before I let you go, I'm going to give you a chance to give maybe a trade idea that you've been talking with some of your members about, if there's anything you're working on. But I do want to give you some credit right here, because you come over to my screen, Fabian, FSLR. And again, we talk about being risk managers, and I'm going to give a big shout out to you for that one, bang on this one, because you liked the long and hopped out of that. And now FSLR really retracing back in. We always get comments about this name, and you addressed your position and the fact that you had gotten stopped out, and that's why there's nothing wrong with getting stopped out. And I think this is a perfect example as FSLR right now. You'd feel silly still holding on to something here if your plan of action was to get out and didn't hit that trigger. So that's like that relief that we talk about, right, Brian, when we say like, hey, our stop got hit. Well, something didn't work or it worked perfectly and now we're out and we can look somewhere else. I think FSLR is a good example of that now at the 200 period moving average there for First Solar. Okay, so credit to Mr. Brian Shane on that one. With over 2,300 still watching, Brian, is there a trade idea that's maybe setting up for you right now, something that we haven't talked about or something other than what we've talked about that you want to bring back?
Here's one, Sean.
Sure.
It's called Pure Cycle Technologies, and these guys recycle plastic. You don't have to be a woke environmental person to realize that recycling plastic is a good thing. So the thing is, they're actually recycling plastic, and it's got a great looking chart here. You can see it's just recently had this big rally, and it's been consolidating in here on lighter volume. Got going a little bit today, I think a little pullback and then get going, that your risk is probably just underneath here, just underneath the low that it saw yesterday. So, actually that's today's low. So a stop underneath today's low. So I'm looking for a pullback down towards 950, then to buy some strength with a stop just under here. There's a really big short position in this too. So hopefully those short sellers are feeling a lot of pressure to continue to cover, and it looks like limited risk for pretty good upside.
Brian, look, I learned something from you all of the time, and I mean, PCT is a name that I've never heard of before, and a 32% shortfall. But look what I just did, Brian. This name looks like it IPO'd back in March of 21, and I put an anchored VWAP right there, which would be this purple line. Look how good it worked back in July of 2023, basically giving you that resistance level in and around 1037. And right now we poke our head above that angle. So another great look here for PCT. I actually want to talk to you, and I'm going to let you go in a couple seconds, I promise. Is that how you invest sometimes? Is you invest with not necessarily your heart, but you mentioned that this was a recycling plastics company. Do you favor environmentally friendly? I mean, we have some people on our show that say they'll never trade Meta because they don't believe in Instagram or I don't know. And you mentioned here as well about China. I understand the China side more than I do a Meta side, but does that ever come into play or you just straight look at technicals?
No, I mean, so I look at the fundamentals and I want to know what they do. Does it make sense? I mean, it's just common sense. It does. I mean, look at it. Go out your street today, you'll see a piece of plastic on the ground. It's a problem. And these guys have a solution. So we all like to have a good story that goes along with it. The difference is, though, Sean, that, some people get married to the story.
Right.
And they will look at that stock. And if it breaks below that, $9.10 low from today, they might say, but I like the company, and it goes to 850, and they still like the company, and they start reading news stories and trying to, convince themselves of why they're holding this because it's good for the environment and that sort of thing. Our job isn't to be social, reformers. Our job as traders is to make money, and it feels good maybe to make it with a company that's doing good for the planet, but it all spends the same, and it hurts, maybe even worse when you marry the stock because you favor it based on a story that just doesn't make sense when the price tells you to sell it.
Yeah, when you're married to a stock, it's way easier to get out of that than the other marriage. All you hit is the sell button, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Brian Shannon, I know you're live tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Why don't you tell everybody one more time what that's all about? I know they can find the link over on X.
Sure. It's going to be a hour long with a little bit of question and answer at the end. I'm going to talk about market structure. So talking about multiple time frame analysis, that 5-day moving average I always talk about, and then adding anchored volume weighted average price levels like to an IPO, like you pointed out on PCT, Sean, and how beautifully that's holding. So a lot of strategies, and I'll probably bring some ideas that I think are good setups as well. I always like to provide something actionable that people can make money with the emphasis always on risk management.
All right, link on your X account. Also, your most recent book right here, Maximum Trading Gains with an Anchored VWAP, a well-read book on our floor for sure. Brian, thank you so much. Best of luck with your cast tomorrow, and hopefully you'll get a lot of our viewers logging in as well. So it's Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao. All right, that's another one. I mean, Brian, again, about as honest as it can come right now, admitting getting stopped out on some positions, talking about new positions with us. I mean, again, very, very honest. And I think that that's what is important in this business. I want to thank Brian, and make sure you do attend his webinar tomorrow. Very, very important. Thank you, Fabian, for staying late with us. Me and you might be the only ones left. So let's wrap this thing up. I want to say a big shout out to Neil today, Adara today for on the desk. Joseph, Sharif, again, Andre, anybody I may have forgotten, thank you. Bears versus Bulls as well. Thank you so much. And most importantly, I want to thank all of you for watching with us daily. Just make sure you're back tomorrow. That's all we can promise. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make a promise to yourself that you'll watch tomorrow, and we'll see each other then at 8:30. For Sean Katina, this is Trader TV Live, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, everybody.